Everything house music, propelling sounds with meaning, delivering on emotions that lack feeding. Intact, your souls have no peeling. Everything house music, casting spells on unlearned beings, bringing them to the underground. Grooves that are worthy. Music is where it's at, believe me. House music.
Nah, I gotta play. I gotta play that again because
Definitely.
it's not sounding fun. The one. Yeah. Gotta play that again. Give me a minute. Yes. Let's do this. I was playing it with another application. Then I go to her name.
Everything house music,
Yes.
propelling sounds with meaning, delivering on emotions that lack feeding. Intact, your souls have no peeling. Everything house music, casting spells on unlearned beings, bringing them to the underground. These are grooves that are worthy. House music is where it's at, believe me. Everything house music.
Nah, so. Yes. Oopsie. Yes, guys, welcome to another edition of Everything House Music, your weekly dose of house. And today we have the legend. Oh man, I have no words. But we have this guy who's been having deep house, carrying it with his whole shoulders. He managed to actually give us for us his time tonight. I don't know what time is it wherever you are, Lars. But yeah, please request the mic. I think you know how to request the mic. Please request the mic. Vox.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Tuesday. It's Everything House Music as always. And our guest this evening is none other than the legend himself, the man behind Deeper Shades of House, Lars Behrenroth, all the way in the US. Shout out to this amazing legend in the house scene. And today, as Lloyd mentioned, we have a pleasure of dwelling into more of his time, into more of the history of Deeper Shades of House and Lars himself. So welcome to Everything House Music. Thank you for coming through, everyone. As always, we're here to have some good fun. But first, respect is the utmost important
Is Volkswagen
factor.
Yeah, actually, is Martinez. You can leave the space and come back. We are not worried. We know it's your network. Don't worry. You can leave and come back. Vox is very audible.
I'm audible, but I can't hear you.
Yeah, you need to leave the space and come back, Martino. You know the drill.
Apologies for that. I can actually hear Martino speaking. Apologies for that. But as I was saying, our guest is all the way from LA. And first of all, yes, please respect everyone in the space. You're more than welcome to grab the mic. Everyone is more than welcome to grab the mic and come and be a part of the conversation that we're going to have with this house legend. So you can grab the mic. You can also perhaps use the chat box if you are shy to come and speak out your submission to us. You can use the hashtag itself, Everything House Music also, and we will share perhaps your submission with our guest this evening. Let's test the mic of our guest. Good morning, Lars.
Good morning.
I think it's like 11 a.m.
That's exactly
where you at.
11:15. Can you hear me all right?
Perfectly.
Okay, great. Yeah, it's 11:15. I just got back from my haircut, getting ready, nice and fresh for my trip.
No, shout out. And how's the morning? How's the morning that side today?
It's beautiful. It's getting. I mean, I can't say it's getting colder. I'm in California, Southern California. It doesn't get that cold, but it's very nice and sunny, and it's very, yeah, it's clear out. It's a nice day. Today is kind of the last day to get ready for my trip. Tomorrow I start traveling, and just packing up and cleaning up some music and getting some merch ready.
Yeah, we're actually going to delve further into your trip, into your tour to come to SA, a bit further on into the space. But before we go anywhere, I believe there's some water shortages in California these days. How's
It's
that affecting you?
it did for about 2 weeks, but only to the point where they told us we couldn't water our grass in the backyard. So that it was okay. There was a big water main. They had to fix a big water pipeline. So they asked, because they had to reroute, they asked like most of the LA area to just turn off all outside watering. But inside, it didn't really make much of a difference. But it is a big problem, like climate change in general, all over the world, and it needs to be addressed. And we're by the sea, but obviously we know we can't drink salt water, but there is enough space to do, what is it, desalination? It's that, what is that? I think that's what it's called, right? When it comes to technical terms, me being German kind of holds me back a little, but I think you know what I'm talking about. Let's turn salt water into drinking water.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. I was asking that because I think 2 months ago we actually had Ellie Beings, who's actually also in LA, and she's been sharing with us perhaps some of the discomforts that are happening regarding those water shortage situation. But welcome again. Thank you for finally making this happen for us. I think we talked about this for quite a while in the DMs, but thank you for accepting the invite to Everything House Music.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for reaching out. It's been a while, and I told you I would, let you know. I'm shy is not the right word. I'm just very picky when it comes to talking to anyone, really. I like it more like face to face, but this is, by the way, my first Twitter space. When I tuned in to you like a few weeks ago, that was like the first time really me listening, because everywhere else I jumped on before was just chaos. And but this was really nice. So yeah, and this comes together very nicely with the 20-year Deeper Shades of House anniversary and the upcoming tour. So I figured let's do it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a grand honor from our side as fans of your music, as fans of Deeper Shades of House, which has been around for 20
It's
years.
crazy.
So shout out to that, shout out to that. The first song that we actually played is one of your latest singles. Yes, one of your latest singles that you actually released, and this one came out in August. Right? It came out in August.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm very slow when it comes to making music, and then the very few last years I've been very slow with releasing music, but I've been stepping that back up. That one was called Matthias Tune, and my son Matthias, that's his name, actually played like the lead synth line in there when he was a little younger, and I, cut out parts and I kind of reworked that into this tune, and I used his drawings when he was younger also as the artwork. He's kind of making his own beats, but not necessarily just for fun, and I always, just as a general message, if you want to make music and you really enjoy doing it, don't worry so much about trying to make money with it or make something for other people. First, just make something for yourself. Do it for that. If you're doing it for that reason, just make that music and enjoy making it. It can be a great hobby. And so that's where he's at, right? It's nothing. He's not showing anything to anybody. He's just playing around with machine and that stuff. So, but yeah, that's that song that came out in August.
Oh, it's lovely, and it's so interesting for the fact that you had your son being a part of your music. I mean, the next generation, I guess, right? We I mean, just like we have Black Coffee and Isona doing it. So one of these days we'll see Mateus and Lars on the decks, perhaps.
Yeah, we'll see about that. I believe truly in him finding where he likes to be. He's very much into old school hip hop and like newer stuff. He's a big fan of like Tyler the Creator and such. And as long as it's good music, I'm all for it. And I urge him to explore. He's a vinyl collector at his young age. I set up a turntable, so he's very much into getting copies that are out of press and stuff. So he enjoys that part of it, and we'll see what comes out of it. But he lets me do my thing, and I let him do his thing. But the music connection is certainly there.
Oh, amazing, amazing! Would love to see his growth. Perhaps even release his own music on deeper shades of house one of these days. One of the other songs that we played is a remix by FKA Mesh from the remix package that was released in 2019, in fact, of I Missed the Things. And he made the Reglitch as always, FKA Mesh, such a legend. There's been a couple of these remixes, Lars. How do you pick these guys? How do you go about actually picking producers to remix your music?
That's a
Thank you.
that's a good question, actually. Yeah, that was the second remix package of that song, even, because that song, when it came out early as my original mix or mine and Xenon's original mix, it just developed a life on its own. And, I also gave it away for free way, way, way before, file sharing became a big thing. I made it available, the original, as a ringtone when, you still had to download, like you had to edit and download ringtones for your phones. And I think that's why it became a thing. And then I just, I try to kind of limit remixes. I don't think many songs need that many remixes, but that vocal is so very nice that I felt like, okay, the song gets a lot of attention still, so let me just do the first remix package. And you start reaching out to people you are in touch with. You kind of, people end up on your radar for one thing or another. And I like to keep those things in the back of my mind. It's and when the time comes, I hopefully have not forgotten those names, and then contact them and then see how that works out. It's a matter of timing, really, I think, as well. It's like, when do you pop up, or how, or in what context, or when do I decide to do what project? There's no formula, really. There's a lot of coincidences, maybe, but obviously, in the end, I want a product that, even though people select the individual songs when they purchase or download and rarely ever get the entire remix release, which I understand, I want to make sure that even if you listen to the entire release, it's kind of like a contextual, like, it makes sense, where not every remix sounds exactly like the previous one, because that's a danger that I see. When many people remix the same vocal, a lot of times it happens that the remixes sound the same, and that's unfortunate in my opinion. So you try to avoid that by creating a good selection of artists beforehand. And yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell.
And I mean, on that same remix package, you also have Slaughter, who also did a remix, and you have Michael Ash, also did one. We actually most recently had Slaughter on the Deep House Space, where he released the Ray series, which is actually released under the Deeper Shades of House, and it was actually incredible just to have him on the space and share his journey regarding releasing music with you, and his part in actually making music. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get definitely when we're gonna talk about him, perhaps. But taking it back, Lars, taking it back into the discography of Deeper Shades of House. Mr. Things. Mr. Things was, I believe, the third release on Deeper Shades of House. This was 2008. How has been the journey? How has been the journey? I mean, if you look as far back as that, 2008, I think your first release was in April that year, the same year. But how has been the journey? I mean, from where you started off to where you are now, 20 years later. Thank you.
That's yeah. I mean, so the label started 2008, and that's maybe a little bit of a different story than the show itself. So should I get into the label first, or you want me to talk about the show?
We can go to the show first,
Okay,
seeing that the show has been even much longer,
right. The
of
show is
course. Thank
basically
you.
the reason for the label, right? That's kind of like where that was like the next logical step at that point. Um, so the show, I've been doing radio shows for a long time. I've been a fan of radio shows for even longer. And that's kind of where that goes back to. Maybe when I was a young kid, I loved listening to the radio because I loved music, but also because I liked listening to the radio DJs. And I was very, not necessarily talking about the traffic or the weather or whatever, but when they would start talking about the music. And jazz radio is big on that, and that came then to me later. But even pop music radio, they tell you a little bit about the artist, because this was all before the internet. So that was the only way you would get this kind of information, unless you buy one of the music magazines or they're featured on TV or whatever. But I really like, people talking about music. So I started listening to like a open channel, like a that's what it's called in Hamburg. It's like a community radio. Like you can apply to get your own radio show. So a friend of mine had a show, or he wasn't my friend at that time. He had a show called House Sound of Hamburg. And I listened to it religiously because he had like all really good house music from Italy and the UK. And, I was a fan of it for quite a few years. And then because I was part of a DJ competition in '94, I met him and then sat in on his radio show and became partner in his radio show, and then took that show onto another station. So radio was natural to me, and that's kind of where it developed it's not a concept, but where I had the idea. I have the chance, which I continued in Deeper Shades. I have the chance to do a weekly radio show, and I get to play music. So that's somewhat of a responsibility, because I did this for the love of music. I still am, right? I'm not recording a show and there's a certain set fee of money coming in. That's not happening. So I do what I want to do. So I saw the chance, let me play the music I want to play, that I want people to hear, that I like. And then, because I had more than an hour like I do now, let me extend the chance for another DJ to make use of this same platform, again, for zero money, right? That's just how it is. So I could pick DJs who I felt and still feel are really into it, and add them to the show. So that show came and went, and then I started an internet radio show. After I put HSH also on the internet, I started Global House Connection. And at the same time, somebody from a radio station in Germany hit me up and said, Lars, we want to do a deep house and new jazz radio show with you. Come up with the name. And so my wife, Kathy, and I basically came up with Deeper Shades of House, because I wanted to encompass new jazz in a way. I didn't want to call it the Deep House and New Jazz Show or whatever. It's like, plus I like a huge variety of house music, right? So from jazz to Afro to tech to, but of any of this, it's the deep kind of selection. So that's where Deeper Shades of House came up. And I met somebody then in the US who was part of XM Radio, which was a big satellite radio station. They were interested in playing it. So I gathered a following here in the US. And when the internet, when they merged with another station, I kind of had a feeling they would go the more commercial route, and my show would probably uh, not be on that anymore. And so, which I was right, they got rid of the entire underground channel, XM, and then merged with Sirius Radio, and they're a big station now, and they don't really care about underground. But I knew that, I felt that was coming, so I made the show available as a podcast, which really took it worldwide, right? And that was around 2007. Then that coincided somewhat with MySpace being really big, and people in South Africa hearing about my name because of my Touching You remix. And then also, and I'm still kind of trying to get on the bottom to the bottom of this. Somehow my show, Deeper Shades of House, ended up, I think, on DSTV or like on a music channel somewhere in South Africa. So it just got really, really big, and the following got huge. And then I heard about all these South African DJs, and music was coming from SA. And then I had Cat La Cat on through a friend of mine, and Tulani the Warrior. And, all of a sudden, even more people came. And then the show just kept going and kept happening. And it's just very satisfying, as we all know as creators, you as well. It's fun if 10 people listen, but it's even more fun if 100 listen, or even more than that, right? So that gives motivation. There was, however, still a dip where I was a little, I'm doing this every week, and I didn't have a reason to do it every week because there was no money coming in, and I was my own boss, right? So I was like, yeah, let me do it next week. Let me do it next week. So there was a period where I maybe skipped, a few weeks of shows here and there. But then in 2009, I started broadcasting live now it's every Wednesday, but I started broadcasting my first hour mixes live since 2009, just to make myself like to hold myself accountable to basically, okay, you scheduled this, there will be people watching, so you have to be there and record this first hour mix to keep the show going. Because after a while, and 20 years is definitely a while, but this was before, you kind of like, every week is a tough thing to do. But I started the live stream, so I had a live interaction, not just sitting there pre-producing every show, which what I do, because I'm sitting here, there's nobody clapping, I don't see faces, any of that, which would happen during a live show. But during a live broadcast, at least I have people in the chat, there's I feel like I have a room full of people while I get to record this. So that's when I kind of went back on my weekly track, and I've been very successful with that, unless I'm traveling. And yeah, then this entire year celebrating 20 years, and I'm keeping this going. There's no reason for me to stop. It's a lot of fun. I developed somewhat of a model where I'm basically just asking people who like the show to show their appreciation and help me out paying the bills, because I'm paying all the bills. I'm not using any pirated software for anything. So I'm having a load of licenses to pay, and server costs alone. I have a dedicated server running. The radio stream is running 24/7. So there's quite a lot of money that's going in this. So I'm asking people, and there's a premium program on my website at deepershades.net/premium, where people can sign up. There's a basic membership which is free. People always think I'm like gatekeeping, no, you can download all the shows, including the guest mixes, for free. You just need to sign up as a basic member, which is a free membership. But if you want to support, you can do silver, gold, or now also platinum. And that is really helping out. And there are some perks there. There are some exclusive live mixes that you can't get anywhere else. You can download the entire catalog, and that kind of stuff, just to keep this thing going. It's not making me rich, trust me, but it's at least covering the costs to a degree. So I don't have, I don't have to feel bad recording the show financially, let's say. So yeah, it's that's just where the show went, and where it's going. It's kind of the similar route. I don't want to change too much. There was a moment when I was like, oh, I need a new intro. And then I figured, no, the intro is like a hallmark, right? You hear the intro, you know Deeper Shades is coming, much like the jingles. So I don't think I need to change that. I don't think there's much of a format change necessary. Especially with streaming nowadays, if I want to do something else, I'll just hop on my Twitch or on Facebook Live or whatever, even on my own radio network, radio.deepershades.net, and just do what I like. So I went a little left and right from your question, but I think I got it a little bit, right?
No, you went absolutely amazing. You delved quite good and quite interesting. I think you even mentioned a few things that I think I wasn't aware of, and as a fan of the music, as fan of house music. So now you went pretty good, and I hope everyone else in this space is enjoying the first 30 minutes or so of everything house music today with our guest all the way from California, Lars Behrenroth. So, uh, Lars, I mean, you did mention, I think, when you started that you're you're from Germany, and you did move to the US. I mean, when you look back, I think what was the reason for, if you don't mind sharing, what was the reason for the move? I mean, moving from Germany to the US. Could you share that with us, please? Thank you.
Absolutely. It was my wife. It was love. It was the only reason. I actually met my wife here in Los Angeles when I was part of that internet radio station. I may have skipped over that. I started an internet radio station in '98 in Germany called Cyber Radio, and we decided, I was part of I put the whole tech together. I was part of the programming, and I told them, you can basically during the day do whatever you want with your station as long as I have the night programming for DJs. And that was the case. And the people with the money said, let's do the same thing in the US. I'm like, yeah, sure. And I raised my arm and I said, let me go and I'll figure it out. And I went with I think the CFO or whatever, and we found like a location, and I was on a house music mailing list, like Yahoo groups, Google groups. I don't know if you remember those kind of things. That's way before social media, really. It's like a discussion list, like mailing list. And that list was very popular. It was very fresh. Frankie Knuckles was on there, Deep Dish were on there, Deep Swing were on there, and many Eddie Amador. And so I reached out on this list. Hey, I'm going to be in Los Angeles. I'm looking for people to be part of the programming on this new internet radio station, and you would have a worldwide audience and blah, blah, blah. And so I met a lot of these DJs, and my wife reached out because she's been a house head pretty much as long as I have, just on the other side of the world. She's from the East Coast. And she reached out and we met, and she thought she was, maybe become like, programming or whatever. But this was before the first internet bubble, and this was the first internet hype, and everybody would just hire interns who would work for free. And when she found out that's what we planned to do, she's like, no, thank you. But we stayed in touch every time I would come here, and we would go out and have a good time and became friends. And then eventually a little more, and I was still in Germany. And that way we kind of started, well, we did start a 5-year long distance relationship from LA to Germany, during which I came to LA quite a few times to visit, which was, lucky because I got to, number one, still do the cyber radio, the internet radio thing, but also just play some gigs and stay here during some extended times. And then she would come to Germany and visit me, but eventually, and that's a longer story with immigration, overstaying, and blah, blah. But eventually, we're still together after 5 years in this long distance. I think that's real love to make it through that. And so I decided to move to Los Angeles, and we got married and then had a kid 13 years ago, and we're still married, and that's the reason why I came to LA.
Lovely stuff. Lovely. I mean, it's got romance to it. So I mean, it's you can't top that. You can't top
No,
that.
that's what I'm saying. It's
Uh,
it's the right reason to move. There's no regrets because it is a big move. I basically My mom and her boyfriend, they're still in Germany, obviously all my roommates and stuff, so I left all of that, but it was a good time. I moved here 2004 because electro clash was really big and I wasn't really into that. So the club gigs like in Germany got like a little less for the style of music that I enjoyed. So it was a good time to move on top of, the right reason.
And Lars, you started DJing in '86.
Yeah.
Oh, that's quite some good time. I wasn't even born at that time.
Yeah,
So
most of you weren't.
what got? I think There's a few here
Yeah.
that at least were
Okay.
born in
Yeah.
'86. But what got you into house? I mean, do you remember the first time you heard of house music? Do you recall perhaps the first time you really got like, this is something? What is this? I mean, I like this. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
That
yeah.
do you have that memory?
It's
Please share with us.
basically
Thank you.
the I got into DJing through breakdancing, right? It's like I didn't know why people would use two turntables and but I liked breakdancing. I found out about breakdancing through Flashdance, the movie, actually, right? I was watching it. I was 13, I think, right? It came out in '84, and I watched it with a friend of mine. We're like, "Oh, cool! Look at those kids. They're just dancing in the streets on some cardboard." And so we did that in the local dance school in my hometown where I grew up in the north of Germany. They had a dance school, where you go for proper dancing, like waltz and Latin American dances, which I, by the way, did at a later point. But they had basically an open house. Come here, practice here. We have hardwood floors. We have a full face mirror. You don't need to dance in the streets. And it's the north of Germany. It's not like we're dancing in the streets because we don't have anywhere to go. It's a very decent situation. So it was not like we need to get the kids on the streets, but it's because the dance school realized, okay, these kids like to dance. Let's bring them here because we will have probably new customers. But they that's the first time when I walked into a room with hardwood dance floor and like a full-sized mirror, disco lights, and I'm 13 and saw two turntables. And there was, they were playing records. There was no mixing. They didn't even have slip mats or anything, right? It was basically rubber mats and you just hit start and stop on the turntable. And those turntables were literally there for the dance teacher to put on a record while she was dancing the people how to dance the samba. But they also had a Sunday tea dance for little kids that would start at 2 p.m. And, it was like 10 to 13-year-olds, I want to say. So like a club, right? So they had to go somewhere to go and they had heavy curtains, so they would black out that room and just have the disco lights. So again, as a 10 to 13 year or 10 to 15 or whatever the age range was, you walk into a club, it's like, wow. That's where I started DJing. At the same time, the music that I liked was not the music that they wanted, right? So I was really more into like rap, Public Enemy, Run DMC, and electronic stuff like Kraftwerk. And so I always had that kind of a different, away from the pop music kind of vibe. I liked New Order, and there was already a lot of like four to the floor heavy beats, like Blue Monday, those songs. And then on TV, music videos all of a sudden pop up, and I'm seeing Jack Your Body by Steve So Curly. And I'm like, what is that? It's like, Jack, 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 Jack Your Body. It's like crazy, right? It's just like relentless going. And so Big Fun came later in his city and Hustle to the Music and those kind of songs. I'm like, whoa. It's like it was literally the way it made me feel, right? And because there was a music video for Jack Your Body, it kind of made it, I think in the UK it was in the top 30 and in Germany I think top 50 or whatever. And so there was a little more, and I found out about it. And the local vinyl store, they ordered some from the distributor, but they didn't know what they bought, so they discounted it heavily. So I got to buy like all these Chicago classics for like $2 instead of like 12, and so it was just really the way the music made me feel. It was never the only music I listened to. I always, kept the rap situation, the hip hop. I like a lot of that old school stuff. And electronic and the left of the dial kind of things. But house, it really just hit me, and I never got to play. The first time I played house was at a school party in my hometown, and I had just gone to the next city. And this is, jump a few years ahead. This was in 89, 88, 89, and Acid House had just come around. And I bought all these records from like a store nearby, which would have records from the US because they had American GI stationed who would bring the records and sell them. And I got all these new acid house records, and imagine you're like playing that in a small little town where they have no exposure to it. They basically almost wanted to kick me off the decks, but that didn't happen. But I kept, kept it going and just really have that connection to the music. There's just a really good vibe for me. So that's kind of the answer.
Lovely, lovely. We love to hear this. We love to hear this. I mean, everything house music is literally about us giving back the flowers, and us reminiscing also with you, your time in the music scene, and getting to know you a bit more. I think a lot of the things you're sharing with us would have had an opportunity to hear them anywhere else. So yeah, this is literally everything house music, and I'm loving how you're actually sharing some of your history with us. It's amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's like, a few years ago, I had this idea. It's like everything I'm touching on, it's worth its own podcast episode. I had that idea to do it. I just have to follow through. I was gonna, especially, the whole situation with my wife, and there are many stories we can tell, and maybe that's happening in the future. But this is like a tease, right? You're getting a little insight.
Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. We are 45 minutes into this thing. The deeper I go, I always think about
I
that.
know.
I always think it always just comes in easy. So, I mean, from my side, I'm gonna talk from my perspective as a fan of house music. Perhaps, I mean, I was born in the '90s, so my experience or my first hand touch of house is compilations that were made by the likes of Vinny, the likes of DJ Fresh, back in those years, and we collected those when we were young, and 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 one of the memories that I have, because my brother is such a vivid collector of music, is that he would go and buy CDs and literally just play them. So would he play them and just listen, and what we have in our heads is that, okay, did you remember that song by DJ Fresh? So most of us actually have that, and it was just a song in the compilation by DJ Fresh. So from your side, I mean, there was songs that were released, perhaps just like uh, Minority, yes, from back in those days. From your side, in terms of the compilations back in those days, giving the music to us South Africans, how was that experience? I mean, how was the experience of sharing your music to DJs around the world, uh, in order for your music to I mean, I guess, to have an existence into other places perhaps you never thought of? How was that start off? How did that experience, I mean, get going from you? Thank you.
There are two ways to describe. There's the one of the artist, and then there's the one of the DJ who's on the other side of that, right? So for years, because I've been doing the radio shows even before Deeper Shades of House, I would basically send my the playlist of my shows, to all the record labels whose music I would play on the show. So, and this was before email, or I may have had email, but most people haven't yet. And so I would actually fax these playlists to radio, to record labels all over the world. Like literally, I would spend a lot of money every month to send a fax with the track list. So they would know all of a sudden, pre-internet, wow, there's this guy playing our music in Hamburg, Germany, and these labels were in Italy, somewhere in Europe, or they were in Japan, or they were in the US, and they would spend good money to send promos to Germany. So I experienced that part. Then, as a producer, before touching you, even I was part of a crew in Hamburg of it was all the whole camp around the record label, Records of Interest and Tracks of Interest, which you might know because it's the same crew that Vincenzo were part of. Steve Buck started out there, and also the Knee Deep brothers, which were huge in South Africa through the compilations. And so that's how I got my first taste, right? There were requests coming in very early, late 90s, for tracks from Knee Deep. And there was this clause in the contract, which, when you do a mix compilation, you request to alter the tune, obviously, if you change the speed, the tempo, volume, alteration of a song. So that's part of it. But we were talking about it. There was this whole clause that basically saying, yeah, we might play this at -5 on the pitch or -6. We're like, what? Why are they doing that? It's like weird. And we're producing it at 126. And why are they doing that? So that's how I kind of found out about it. And then the record label slowly started licensing things. And it was still very removed because I didn't know. Like, for instance, minority in terms of thought, it's only until recently, maybe 2017, when I decided to re-release it on my own label, that most people found out that was my track, right? Because it was released on Compost under Worldless People and such, also like that, licensed to other labels. And in reality, that was like a collective of artists, and they signed the songs, and they were like, oh no, it's easier if we do it this way, but I produced that song. And I had no idea of the impact. I had no idea there was another song where somebody ripped off the bass line. Was that a DJ Clock? Somebody did a song where it's like the same bass line. I had no idea about these whole things, And similar to Touching You, because you sign a track to a label, and the label kind of makes the deals. And again, this was before the internet, or before people like, oh, look at this guy's charting this music, or that didn't happen, because there were no other people really sending me faxes about, oh, we're playing your music, That kind of happened with MySpace. When MySpace came around, that's when people started hitting me up, because they would have a way to contact me easier, right? They would just type in my name, and people are like, oh, Lars, we love your music and we want to book you. And so from then on, it was like 4-5 years of me dealing with people telling me they're booking me, but none of them were real promoters, which I didn't know because, again, you're so far away. And but then 2010, Christos, Vinny, Greg, Fresh, Oskido decided to bring me out for the Southern African Music Conference, and that was the beginning of basically me coming to South Africa frequently to play,
Oh, lovely, lovely, lovely indeed. Before we exhaust your voice, Lars, before you can't be able to talk anymore, I mean, you have a radio show that you have to talk
No, it's okay.
on.
I don't need to record any for 2 weeks because I'm going to be on tour. So I'll be fine.
Yeah, so I was thinking we play a song,
Sure.
and we just maybe take a small drinking break. Anyone, if someone wants to grab some water, some tea, some coffee, some wine, could be gin, could be anything, and then we'll come back to more conversations with our guests tonight on Everything House Music. If this is your first time joining us, thank you so much. We do this weekly. Last week we had Kasango, we had Dakapo. Yeah, that was amazing. Next week we're gonna have Nini Malukes. Yeah, that's gonna be something else. So please just check us out. Use the hashtag. You will always know when we're having another space again. And thank you for coming through. We also have the deep house space, which happens on Fridays. We're gonna talk about that also at some point. But for now, we're gonna play a song. As we were talking about minority in terms of thought, which was remastered in 2017. I'm gonna put that in and listen to that whilst we all have some break. But please enjoy the music. We'll come back with more conversations. Lloyd, I'm not in.
Ula. Ay, mnandi. You know, I've been listening, and there's so many questions. Like 2 hours is not enough. I think Lars should come back. We have a lot of questions. As you speak, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna ask this, and then you speak again, I'm like, oh, let me ask this, and then you speak, I'm like, I'm gonna. There's so many questions. I think 2 hours is not enough. You need to come back. Next year, somewhere February, so that we can indulge again on this conversation. Here's a song I'm gonna play, Lars Behrenroth, Minorities of Trends of Thought, 2017 remaster.
Bonjour Mamadou, bonjour Kraba, bonjour Mousso, bonjour Ken, Aywa, ambeta jigbina, ambeta jira, Aywa, ambeta jigbina, ambeta jira. Bonjour Mamadou, bonjour Kraba.
And
Yeah,
that was
this song was big, yeah.
fire, too much. And I mean, you released this as the 58th release on Deeper Shades of House. Yeah, so this was the 58th release on Deeper Shades of House, the record label. And this was the remastered version that was released in 2017. Minority in terms of thought. Amazing tune. I mean, I think most of us don't even know what the song is saying. So I think I'd like Lars to explain to us what is it saying, and perhaps its process when you made it, and your memories. You did lightly share with us perhaps how it was released in other record labels, but I can't remember. I wouldn't tell you what it says, but when we dance to it on the dance floors and groove, it's something else. So Lars, if you can please share with us what is it saying, what is the song saying, and what language is it, please? Thank you. Bum, 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 bum. Lars, are you still there? Are you still taking a coffee break, perhaps? Quite an extended one.
Sorry. I had muted myself. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay, so I have no idea what it says. I
Really?
don't know. I don't know the language. I have no idea what it says. I don't know what record I got it from. It's it's a blur. It's a blur. I have a feeling it must be something Northwest African. Because I think it was like a Afrobeat, like, OG Afrobeat, like Nigerian related Fela or Tony Allen record. It's not Fela's voice, I know that, but I think it's somewhere around there. It's like a buddy came over with a bunch of records, and he was part of this project, right? Of well, there's people. He did the other side with the Derek Carter sample of the original release, and so he came with his records because we were playing in the same town, and so I sampled this part. I don't know if it was the same record where I got the bass line from. I'm not sure, but I sampled it and I put it in there, and people are asking, and I'm still trying to figure it out because some words sound Spanish, others don't. I honestly don't know. I really have no idea. Maybe someone should make that a mission, right? I mean, somebody should know that. I don't know. But so I made the song basically. He sampled, he put out the records, like he said, here, check this out, and I went through some stuff and I sampled some things. I'm like, oh, I like this bass line, and then I kind of looped the bass line. This is all so early. Oh goodness. This is all made with MIDI, right? There's no logic, there's no audio dragged into the computer. Like the bass line is looped, the sample, it's all in hardware samplers. I used analog reverb for that. Then the drum samples, most of the drum samples, some were sampled in like a ESI 32 samplers, and others came from a Roland sound module, JV2080, beautiful thing, much like the strings. I used that from that, and I used to bounce the stuff to a DAT, right, to a digital audio tape, to have the best quality. And Logic, it was a slow computer, and I was already using Logic. And if you were creating too many tracks, even with just MIDI, you would get like little MIDI hiccups, which could be a nice coincidence sometimes, And I think if you listen closely, there are a few snares that come a little later than others. And I think those are like the little MIDI hangers. So, but yeah, I made the track. And then the guy who's like, Daniel, who had the records, said, oh, yeah, I'm doing all these productions, and let's put this out under this project. And I have contacts with Compose Records, and they're interested. And I'm like, absolutely. right? Because I was heavy into the new jazz, broken beat, compost, had the Rainer Trüby stuff, and the snare in this one. I'm trying to figure it out. The snare is like a Brazilian snare, but that's because of the sound module it came from. But I think the placing of the snare, I don't know if Gregory did like Africanism stuff before this release or if it was around this release. That may have been inspired by that. But I was not aware of like any African style per se. This just came very natural with the bass line and the sample. And when I listen to it now, there's the beats, even the beat is not a loop. That's all originally programmed. So yeah, that's the song. And I kept hearing, I started playing it when I came to South Africa years later because I kept people talking. Like I heard it, somebody play it and saw the crowd go crazy. I'm like, did you know I did this? And they're like, what? So I decided I'm just going to put this out. I'm going to remaster it. I put it out under my name because I never got paid for the original release. So I was like, okay, whatever. That's just how that sometimes goes. But then I re-released it myself. But I missed out. You know how many compilations you guys sold over there. I didn't, like I said earlier, I didn't even know about its success. That was very well hidden away from me. And when I contacted the actual Worldless people, they're like, oh no, yeah, that's some story, whatever. But that's where we're at, and that's why I re-released it, and I'm very happy that people enjoy it, and occasionally I still play it, and especially when I do in South Africa, the world is a good place at that moment because everybody is just like, wow. They even forget to take their phones out and film. They just dance. That's the thing to do.
That's interesting, Lars. That's interesting that you say that, that you weren't aware, because now it gives thoughts, it gives ideas of how many of producers around the world that perhaps we had the privilege of their music through the compilations, and they didn't know of that. And then years later, they travel, they come here, and they're like, hey, this song was amazing, in South Africa, but we didn't even know that it was released. It's quite interesting. It's quite interesting. Did you perhaps go some legal routes to actually? I mean, I don't know.
No. They basically signed a contract with me, and then they sold the record to Compost or licensed it to Compost. So there was nowhere. I hit up Michael from Compost, and he's like, "No, you got to deal with those guys," because that was the legit way. Because I had a partnership contract with them, and they just whatever, took me for what it was, and they never reported, and so it's just what it is. I'm not going to bother. When people mention legal routes here and there, it's got to be really a big amount of money to even make it worth it to pay an attorney. People are very big saying, "Ooh, let's sue this person, let's sue that person, let's sue this person." It's not as easy as it sounds unless you have an unlimited amount of money to begin with.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, fast forward your travels into SA. This year, as you mentioned, you're doing 20 years of the Deeper Shades of House, and you're traveling around the world. And we have the privilege in SA to celebrate it with you. Do you remember your first time coming here to South Africa? Do you remember your first time, and how was that?
Well, of course I do. That was 2010, like I talked about earlier a little bit. I had many people on MySpace hit me up. They're like, Lars, we want to do a party, and I'm having this person play, and Dixon is playing, and Hendrik Schwartz is playing, and all these people that I obviously know from Germany. We want to bring you out. And when do you have time? And it's going to be this and a huge festival. And I'm in the US, and until that point, every time somebody would hit me up to get booked, it was a 95% chance it would happen, right? So I wouldn't really doubt any situation. And I didn't really know, and so I would agree to things. But I'm also, not gullible. So I would ask these artists that they mentioned, and I'm like, oh, you're going to South Africa, you're going to play this event? And they're like, what? I don't know of the date, I don't know of the venue, I don't know of anything. So I figured it out. after a while to take a lot of these requests, with caution. Still trusted a few people, which I shouldn't have, up to the point where I ended up packing my bags because they're like, oh yeah, no worries. Tomorrow's your flight date. I don't have the ticket number yet. I get it. No problem. I'm standing there. I got all my bags packed. I'm about to get into the cab to the airport, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we didn't get the money," which probably I'm thinking they didn't to begin with. But those situations came a few times, and then luckily, I was very happy that, like I said, Christos and Vinny actually called me on three-way. I think they called me together. Yeah, and we talked about it. And that was the first time then 2010 for the Southern African Music Conference, which was also World Cup time. So that was extra special, right? Because we got to play fan fests at the different stadiums, and that was very enjoyable, even though it was cold AF. I'm like, I'm in South Africa. How can it be so cold? I had no idea. But I have learned since. So it was great. The first gig, we landed. I think we played the next day. Yeah. Where did I play? I forgot the name of it. I don't know. But before I played, I was a little confused with what I should play. But I luckily remembered that the reason why I am in South Africa is because of Deeper Shades of House and because of what I do on Deeper Shades of House. And so I did not stray off my usual, music taste to please, because people can fall for many DJs for trying to please the wherever they're traveling to and playing the music that they think the people expect, when in reality they want to see what that person is doing for the reason why they're there, right? Because of what they do other places. So it was amazing. It was like the best reaction I have had. That was my first night, and all the following gigs were just amazing as well. To the point where these were all new things, right? At the end of the night, I'm like walking out and I'm wearing a shirt, and this is when I made 2010 South Africa, like Deeper Shades of House 2010 T-shirts that I sold during the conference, and I was wearing it. And after the gig, a guy was like, "Oh, give me your shirt, give me your shirt." And one guy actually got lucky. I actually took my shirt off that I wore that night and gave it to him. And I don't know if I got sick that night, but I definitely got a flu that trip too. But it was amazing. That was 2010. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. And then, years later, you've been coming again, and this year you're coming. Before I give the mic to Martin, I think he's got a few questions, and maybe a few other people in the space. So this year, at 20 years, right? At 20 years of Deeper Shades of House, and there's a couple of gigs that you've lined up, starting, I think, on the 28th, 29th, somewhere there. Are you coming to Cape Town, Lars?
I wish. I don't know what's up with Cape Town. Last time I went was Khayelitsha. Is that the name? That was the last time, I think. I played in Cape Town a few times. I had a really good time, and I don't know. Time-wise, it doesn't work. I don't know what it is. The good thing is, for me personally, I don't really get the gigs together. It's like Christos is handling my gigs in South Africa, and it's always been very, very good for me. Like, he makes sure I get to play good places, and people ask him for me to play. So I don't know what's happening with Cape Town. I definitely want to be back, that's for sure. Maybe next time we make it happen. We'll see.
Yeah, I really thought maybe We House Sundays would actually get you to come play. But regarding the 20 years celebration, when you look back, what are your standout moments of 20 years of Deeper Shades of House? What are your memories when you look back? Like, you see, that's when I really thought I was doing a good thing, or this is when I got lazy. But what are your standout moments of 20 years of Deeper Shades of House? Thank you.
Well, I told you the lazy things already. When I just really had a hard time, maintaining the weekly schedule. But I got around that with, realizing I'm kind of like a disciplined person. I need to really just have a schedule, and when I'm, have my routine, I can get that out of the way. I think overall it's just the personal feedback I get. I get like emails and text messages and such that are very personal from people of, what they have been through and what the show did to them, all the way to just very happy and exciting. And that same thing happens when I meet people in person. Many people that been listening to the show, they come up and it's like, Lars, I've been listening to you for 17 years, 15 years. I've gone through this, I've been through this. Or like recently I played in Detroit. I had a gentleman come up to me and said, this is my wife, these are my two kids. His kids were like 19 and 20, and he's like, they grew up on Deeper Shades of House, so they all came to meet me. And those are the highlights. Undoubtedly, those are the highlights, and that is what I go back to, because like many people who are in this industry or any industry really, you get fatigue, you get like that kind of blues. Why am I doing this? Why do I bother? Because trust me, I'm nowhere near financially where some people may think. I'm doing a radio show that I do for free from my studio at home, right? And I put it out on the internet for people to download for free. So where would this money magically coming from? I'm doing this really for the love and for spreading this music and spreading the word about the artists. And I get to express myself. Obviously, I'm not all selfless. I get to express myself on a weekly basis. I get to put music together that I enjoy. I don't play stuff that I don't like. So I put this together. I feed off the energy, especially during my live broadcasts on Wednesday. When I see people are really there, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's like a therapy session weekly for me to do the show. But I get these personal responses. They definitely make it all worth it. Those are definitely highlights. And of course, from the content situation, uh, I appreciate every single guest and every record label and artist who's been supplying me with music, whether I buy it or they send it to me or whatever. Um, and it's just I appreciate the whole thing, the longevity. I know it's me doing it, but without the support, I wouldn't. Without people listening, without people giving me feedback, without artists reaching out, without DJs reaching out wanting to be featured, you know, it's a lot of work, especially after 20 years to do a weekly radio show, you know. So that's it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. Let me share the mic finally with some speakers. I hope we opened enough. I mean, I think we did open enough, just for everyone to be enlightened about who Lars actually is. I mean, going through the comment section, uh, Stanley mentioned that the first time he met you at Super Sport Park when you actually came in 2010. There's also another comment here where Tabang also mentioned that he also saw you at Super Sport Park at that gig alongside Fresh, Skido and Martin East. So a few fans are here. But I
That is
think
awesome.
the people that perhaps have had a few jabs. I mean, we did see it in the timeline at some point. They're not here. They are shy now to come and actually say something to you. But yeah, but people are people. People are people. Yeah, but we've seen how I mean the reaction of social media regarding a few things from you. But they're not here today to come and actually maybe say a few things to your face. But people are people. People are people. Let me give the mic to Lloyd. Lloyd in chair, grab the mic. Thank you.
Aren't you gonna give Martino first? Martino.
Oh, okay. Now that's fine. But Martino, he's probably
It's
asleep.
fine.
But
Just
let's try him.
take the lead, Lloyd. You
I'm
heard what he
giving you a
said. You
chance
heard, just take the lead.
because you've been raising your hand, and now I'm gonna ask before you. Are you good?
Let me just give it a go ahead. I mean, like he took all the questions which I was actually gonna ask you guys.
You know
Uh,
him. Why are you
yeah,
surprised?
yeah. I mean, like it's yeah. I mean, he's the guru. It's guru versus guru, by the way. But yeah. Anyway, it's I'm really, really, really glad to have you here, Lars. We're actually happy to have you here on the show. Yeah. I wanted to ask you a question because I know that it might slightly sound a bit like what he did ask, but I wanted to rewind it back and say, when it comes to essay, what actually comes through your mind? What is actually thriving through your blood? I mean, like laws and essay. What is that coming to you? I mean, like.
Well, I I've been telling this to a lot of my friends here, or even peers, I talk with. It is making it worth it. It kind of connects to the personal feedback I was talking about, and also how I charge, how I get energy from the people. So playing in South Africa, the reactions I'm getting and the freedom I have musically allows me to really be myself, and that is such a joy that it's like a battery, right? It's like a battery, and when that battery goes empty, I just get really crappy, and it's hard to find a lot of these gigs outside of South Africa. Of course, it happens. You have a warehouse party, you have a underground loft thing, but the continuity and just, of course, the level of you know acceptance and curiosity musically in South Africa is very unique. Especially to me, because of what we talked about. Minority in terms of thought, or touching you, or deeper shades of house. I have a lot of good things preceding me personally being there. So that, because, I am also still the DJ who tries to play what he wants to play at other parties or places, and where you're the DJ, where your name is not as widely known, which automatically people in the audience then look at differently. Not everybody, but we all know, right? We all know that happens. That certain DJs get away with playing stuff that if you were going to play it would not work with the same crowd because they look at you differently. But when you come to South Africa, I have that freedom, maybe because of what I do, of course because of what I do, that I fill up this battery, and I don't need to play many other places for the rest of the year if I get to go to South Africa once a year, because of this energy, because of this. It, it's I had a really good time. I just played in Seattle this past weekend, so that was a good pre-party for my South Africa trip. But like I said, it doesn't happen that often, and I take things too hard, and I get disappointed, if the party is sad in a way, of attendance or reaction, or I take that too hard, and I'm miserable for a few days, and that is kind of depleting the battery. I don't want to waste it after having it charged in South Africa. But that is kind of, where, again, this is probably a very selfish kind of thing. The energy that I get when I get to play is just so good. That's the number one thing I think of. Number two, I really enjoy interacting. Sometimes you gotta regulate a little because people get excited, and I understand that. But I like interacting. I like taking pictures with people, not so much when people are on the dance floor taking pictures of me. That is something that you know. Well, actually, the picture is fine. It's the flash and it's the constant light when people are filming. Plus, leave the space right around the DJ booth for the people who want to dance. right? Which also brings me then to the next thing, dance more. But that's the answer. I like I like the energy. That's like a big thing I think of.
Love it, love it. Yeah. Another thing, regarding to sounds, I wanted to get deep into sounds. I mean, like, talking about sounds, Lars, uh,
Mm.
you're a geek sound. You're a sound geek, if I may. I mean, I don't know how many keyboards you may have out there or synthesizers, but yeah. Um, you've got a lot of stuff. I wanted to firstly ask you about the topic, man. Digital and analog. How how does it mean, obviously, for you? Which one is actually more? Which one doesn't actually matters mostly for you? I mean, like between analog and digital. I mean, mostly
When it comes
international.
to producing,
Yeah, yeah. When it comes to producing,
you know, when it comes to convenience, digital and doing everything on board is the best solution, right? Because you just need a computer. You just need to make sure you have all your plugins arranged. I don't have that much honestly anymore. I have a whole box with my rack MIDI, but most of that I'm not using. When I produce, which like I said is not that much happening these days, I use everything on board. I have Logic and I have like a lot of the native plugins. Um, I do have some little toys that mostly are to play around with. I don't do any
hmm
live shows. I think if I were doing live shows, I would try to keep it small and do like a hybrid, of maybe analog and digital. When it comes to DJing, that's more of a sound preference, you know. And but when it comes to producing, the analog is in many cases maybe more intuitive, um, and you have to be more live, like more. It's more like what you do when you do it, rather than I feel like with making music on a DAW, you're more like preparing for something to happen. It's more a scientific approach where the analog thing is more of a performer approach.
ah, lovely, good stuff. I mean, I I've been I also want, I'm into this analog stuff. I mean, like I've seen a lot of producers out there like Atjazz. I mean, he's yeah, Atjazz. He's one of the geek of analog. I mean, he goes way beyond with analog, and it's just I don't know how does he do it natural. And he is one of the artists which I'm trying to get him on this show also. Now I just broke the secret to these two guys because it's the only guy which I wanted to bring here. But oh, why do you still do it? I mean, like,
Analog? Well, it's
yeah,
thicker sound. It's
yeah,
thicker sound. It's more, like I said, it's more intuitive. It's more hands-on. Like it's like automatic or stick shift. That's
all
all I
right,
gotta say. That's
okay,
that's all I gotta say. It's like, why do people drive stick? You gotta feel, right? You gotta feel. You gotta
yeah,
feel when you
yeah,
go up to the next gear. You have to have that connection with the car, right? You're holding it.
yeah, yeah.
Even Tiptronic, you need that kind of feedback. You don't want the car to take that control. It's a similar kind of situation. You kind of let the computer do its thing. You say, do this here, do this then. Where analog, you got to be on. Like when you ask how he
Gotta
does
be
it,
heard.
if once you know one synthesizer, there are only 3 or 4 processing situations. Once you know them, you know all of the synthesizers. It doesn't matter what you put in front of somebody. If you're sitting in front of a Moog, or if you're sitting in front of a TB303 or whatever, you should know what a release or sustain is, and it's all the same. It's all the same. The outcome is different, but the way to get there is the same.
All right, nice one. Thanks for that, Lloyd.
Yo, Martinos, tango. Lars, my question is, you've literally witnessed the innovation of technology throughout the years, right?
Yeah.
I think this year March we've had Mark Farina. Mark Farina usually tweets about old mixes, sound systems, mixers and all those things. I've asked him this question that out of all the innovation from cassettes to CDs to USBs, digital, through sales and also through playing and DJing, which one of those you actually were happy that is happening between cassettes to CDs to digital?
Well, I mean that's a very general question. I do like playing vinyl for exactly the same reason I just explained. I love the hands-on, right? It's like it's an organic. We like touching things, okay? So I like that. However, you know how people use, well, maybe you don't know, but there are people who really like to organize. Well, no, collectors still do it, right? They have all their vinyl and they put them all into a database. However, so you can look up every track that you have. Doesn't necessarily mean, unless you have a very flawless system, you don't know where to get them, in the shelves. That's when muscle memory comes into play. But with the constant output of music, number one, we don't buy all the vinyl. We may have the digital or whatever. It is easier to access the music once you downloaded it when it's digital, obviously, because you can just search it and it's right there. And then in addition to that, with age comes, back problems. You don't want to carry your vinyl around anymore. Cassettes were fun because, we were recording things. For me, I was never into pre-recorded cassettes. I was like, why would people do that? I was always like, if I want to buy an album, I buy the vinyl. And then if I want a cassette, I'm just going to record it. That's but I had a lot of cassettes. I recorded a lot of mixes. I recorded my first like DJ mixes on cassette and all that. But yeah, convenient wise is definitely the digital route. I was very much not into it in the beginning. I was like, why would people do that? I didn't even do any CDs. And then the internet came around and people started sending music to each other. And that then kind of gave me a reason to burn this music on CDs, and the only way to play them out was a CD player. So I got into that, and it became convenient, So I don't know if that kind of touches on. I don't know what other things. USB is fine. I prefer my computer just simply because of the access. Now, now they have the big CDJs where you have a virtual keyboard. Because I've been doing a weekly radio show, I kind of know most of the music by either artist name or track title. So I know what I'm looking for. I don't need to just scroll through. So it's easy for me to just have a keyboard and type in the first three letters, and then the song comes up and I can pop it in. So yeah, I like the convenience part. But here at home, I love playing vinyl and local gigs as well. Traveling international with vinyl is a pain that I try to avoid, But yeah.
Yeah. So when you started Deeper Shades, right? Did you start it kickstart it with having guest mixes?
Yeah, from show
And
number one.
what was your criteria to choose or accept the mixes to be part of the Deeper Shades?
Similar to what I said earlier about the remixes, it's more like who am I in touch with, who is popping up on my radar, who am I interested in. A lot of back then, mailing list connections, uh, DJs I felt are in a similar vibe but don't have the exposure, or they don't already try to do their own thing. They're just doing this for the love. They're not even playing out. That was like initial things. Then of course you gotta, get some names in there. And so, and then criteria, I am not one to tell people you can't play this or that, but especially after this many years now, I'm thinking that the DJs who are being invited to send a mix or even ask, and I agree that they know who they're doing the mix for and what the show is about, and that they know who are the people listening, and they're trying to respect that and play accordingly. These kind of discussions we had when Black Coffee was first on the show, because people were like, no, we don't want what he plays on the show, and people adjust, right? So I let everybody do their thing, and I pick wisely ahead of time that I do not need to worry. I don't need to be like, oh man, this is not Deeper Shades at all. If there's a song here or there, whatever, it's creative freedom, but it's got to fit. That and fitting here, what's the criteria? I got to be down with it. That's it. There's no. If you do this, Lars is going to pick your mix. That's just not happening. When many years ago, I would suggest on the show, just send me a mix. Everybody has a chance. Get on it. Sadly, I get too many. I can't even respond. And, it's slowed down, obviously, because I stopped asking publicly for mixes. But it's, it comes and goes. People pop up. And I've been asking to make things a little easier because I can't sit here and listen to mixes, right? I mean, it would just be too much time. So I've been asking on the show, if you want to be on, find two DJs, two guests who were on the show before, and have them reach out to me and basically vouch for you, right? So that way, it's a quality control thing. I'm sure you have other people who may have heard who you are or what you do, and have them reach out to me when they were on my show before. Not like you say, oh, they like what I do, have them reach out. That's like, I need somebody who's saying this guy should be on your show. That's a good start, because I know that's what most people ask. Lars, how can I submit? Lars, I want to mix. Lars. And one of the reasons why I don't really answer or get into that kind of situation is because many people have never even listened to the show, sadly, and ask to be on for their own personal reasons, because they understand, okay, this guy is getting a lot of retweets or a lot of listens or whatever. And they're like, okay, can I have my mix on your show? And I don't want to have to try and research and find out and be like, oh, this guy never even listened, So I kind of use that route to keep the connection, because we are a Deeper Shades family in a way, but that can always expand, It's just got to be an organic and a recommended and vouched for way.
For sure, for sure. Your thoughts on ghost production? We have R&B. Ghost production is accepted there. We have soul. We have hip hop. What do you think about ghost production when it comes to deep house?
I don't care. I really don't care. I'm like, but I'm also a lot older and wiser now. I used to get bent out of shape about a lot of stuff. You know, it is very obvious to the eye with knowledge that there are certain people out there who have releases that they didn't do, right? But we have to all kind of realize that we always want to be like, we know what's up and we're in the know and we don't think it's cool because. And in the end, there's another. Let's go back to a great tweet from somebody who said, "This is feeding people's mouths, right? It's feeding somebody's mouth, right? And maybe even two people in this case, because There's a ghost producer who's getting paid by the person who's pretending to be the producer. So who is then getting paid for performing. So now in this case, two people are getting paid. So if we're going by this logic, then this is probably the best thing to happen to Deep House. This is sarcasm, by the way.
I caught that one. Let me give the mic to Guru. Hey, Guru. Soul Nutrific.
Yes, yes.
He's stoned.
Hope you guys can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Good evening, legendary Lars.
What's up?
My question is in terms of when you were still young, trying to get your name out there and playing, like in different crowds. Obviously, you had your own sound that you played and that you liked. I mean, that you wanted to share with the world. Um, what basically, I don't know how to ask this question, but it basically is, how did you remove the fear of people basically accepting you? And is there such thing as people pleasing? Are we, like, when you're playing in a crowd, are you playing so that you can understand what the crowd wants, or are you playing so that you can basically the music that you feel and you want to basically teach the audience? How, especially in me as an upcoming, I who's very much, who doesn't want to compromise basically. Is it a good thing, or I'm supposed to understand basically what the crowd wants, obviously depending on the venue? How does that work, or how did it work for you when you were young and still trying to get yourself out there, or even at a later stage, if my question makes sense?
Oh, it totally makes sense. So things were different back then. It was literally a whole other situation, right? When I started playing, number one, it was a hobby, right? There was no reason to make money, and because it was a local dance school, they were not as concerned with making money because they would have people there anyway. This also were not house gigs; they were not genre specific, but it was the music that I liked because I had to bring my own records, and I was very young. I was 15 years old. There was not much money, so I wouldn't buy music that other people wanted to buy hear, right? Just for that reason, because it was my money. I bought records that I wanted to hear. So I bought Frankie Goes to Hollywood and Kraftwerk and just electronic, tinged kind of stuff that was not at all what they were used to. They were like pop kids. There were records at this dance school that the dance school teacher was using for teaching the classes. And because I was also part of the classes, I knew what records she was using. So at that moment, I was just dropping them in every once in a while, and the people, the kids who were taking the classes, would do their thing. So at that point, you got hired, right, to play for these people. And obviously, if I would just do this for 2 hours and just play my stuff, they may not come back next week. Then the dance school owner would have a problem with, because she on the long run would lose money because she's trying to use this to get more people to sign up, right? This is the same thing as a bar owner or a pub owner wanting to make sure that he sells the drinks at the bar, because now we're in a situation, unlike back then, that was the only thing, and this is just one example, right? But I think it's a good one. That was just one Sunday afternoon where kids from 10 to 15 could go and pretend to be in a nightclub. That was either that or going home. Now fast forward to now. If you play in a club for 2 hours, just what you want to hear, and you just ride right through the wall, it depends on why you're being booked. And that's kind of what I said earlier. If I were to do that and I would bring out a crowd that's there for me, the owner wouldn't really care because people would still be into it. Or if I were to do that and I play what I play and I don't care and I get paid, then, and I don't care about coming back, then I can do that. But you need to kind of figure out probably where to play if you want to do that. You know, you have to then align with places where they want to hear exactly what you want to play. Before I started doing this traveling and deeper shades and going to South Africa and playing all these other places, I played a lot of hotel bars. Like I played down tempo gigs. Why did I do that? Because that's how I paid the bills. And I still put myself into it, but you kind of go a little different than you would if you play for a room full of clones of yourself, you know? So I think it's really finding out where to play. And I know you guys are having situations with deep house and other styles of music that there's a competition. So you just got to find a crew that is along your vibe and try to play there. Or if you want to make money and you have it in yourself that you can basically bend towards those things, then you play that and you become really popular in being the chameleon that goes with the flow, and you can make a shitload of money, you know, quickly at least. The other thing, the music lover, that's the long route. That's the long route that may never pay off, but at least you keep your integrity and your sanity. But, you know, to pay some bills, you play some gigs where you bring some music that you usually wouldn't. But you still, you know, I'm not all of a sudden going to play a rock show or whatever, you know, unless if I had to, if that was the only way to pay my bills. I mean, if you only fix Porsche or you know, supercars, but nobody is calling you, but they call you and their little shitty whatever is broken down, and it's the only job you have, and you need to pay your bill, then you take that one. But I mean, it's something you got to do with yourself, you know. I bend a lot of ways. I always stayed within my realm. I got older, I realized again, people really like deeper shades and what I do with deeper shades, so I stay within that. But I still experience, like I said earlier, I experience venues where people have no idea what deeper shades is, and I got to switch it up, you know. But then there also are gigs where I want to switch it up. You know, it's like, because I am a DJ with a versatile style, and there is a big range of house music out there that I enjoy. And just now in Seattle, it was more of an after hours vibe. I was up on 123 BPM, which I don't often get up to, and I definitely banged it out, even played a techno track or two, and I really, really enjoyed that. But it's everything that I wanted to play. But I'm in that position after, how do they say, paying the dues, I guess. And again, this does not happen often. It happens often to other people with a much higher status, you know, than I have, which is great. Everybody works towards their goals.
Thank you very much. Question answered very well. Yeah, really, really, really appreciate the answer. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Shout out to Soul Nutrific Guru. Thank you, brother. Thanks for coming through and grabbing the mic. A few other people in the space are a bit shy. I don't know why, but shout out to you, man, for coming through.
I don't bite. I don't bite all the way.
And you don't bite. You don't bite. I think, yeah, maybe just a few things that they've just seen about you that people are potentially just scared of. But
Well, they get to know me. They get to know me. You know, that's the whole thing. It's people create something in their mind, and they, you know, that's why they sometimes say it's best not to meet your heroes, because the chances you get disappointed, because you build up something, you hear something, but that's why I also try to keep the show personal in a way. You know, I talk about things here and there so people realize it's not just a machine, and they get to know me a little bit. But then with social media, especially a lot of, you know, people who are not as experienced, they take things very literal, then there is maybe a lack of sarcasm or the understanding of sarcasm. and me being very direct. And again, like I said earlier, I love interacting, and that's definitely part of the interaction.
Absolutely, absolutely. Lars, I mean, yes, we've asked for 2 hours with you, but like we're 10 minutes away from 2 hours. How further on can we take our talk with you?
We can talk a little longer. I mean, I just have to pack, but I still have time. I'm not leaving before tomorrow. So.
Oh, okay. Everyone in space, you'll heard that. You heard it very well. So you can still come up and grab the mic and actually come and say something, because I've still got like perhaps a few questions, and one of those questions, Lars. I mean, we are in the digital world right now. We are in a space where music, I mean, travels through wires, and it's not a physical thing anymore. So you don't go to Musica. Musica actually closed down, so you don't go to Musica and buy your CD. Now you just go to Spotify, Apple Music, and actually just stream the music. What's your thoughts on that? What's your thoughts on the fact that music is free today? I mean, I think I can say that. Like streaming is potentially free because it's just a click away. There's no more downloads or anything. But what's your take on how the streaming service perhaps is also affecting um, producers and how it's affecting perhaps the industries at large? What's your take on that? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a whole day worth of talking about. It's obviously I saw a little bit the change of this, right? When I started out, it was still about, okay, there's got to be on vinyl. That's the only way. Then CDs, it has to be on CD. But to make a whole album, that's a very special thing. That's a lot of work. So again, 12 inches. That's then Napster, Audio Galaxy. Those were like the first peer-to-peer file sharing services where you would basically, like a torrent situation, you would launch these programs and you would just type in anything and it would pop up, right? And you could just download it, and people would rip parts of my shows, like they ripped the tracks. You could hear still the jingles on top. They did the same with Giles Peterson and Worldwide. And but also they would put full albums on there, and that's when Metallica started suing Napster, and then all of a sudden certain things went away, but then it turned into BitTorrent and Pirate Bay and all those things. And it got personal when people started then sharing my releases, right? Deeper Shades Recording, 2008. I'm making a label. I'm actually still making money with the label. Not a lot, but to cover the costs, right? I'm like, okay, this is worth it, blah, blah, blah. And they start then putting it on Facebook groups. And it's not even the real version. It's like a really bad rip, and it's just a really low quality. And then they're all proud of it. It's like, who needs to buy music? And I was really mad at that. And, Nick Holder and a few others and Ralph. And we took down a few of those file sharing sites and Facebook groups and all that. And there were many companies, and they're still trying to have like digital watermarks or whatever. But now we're moving forward, and streaming took over. And it's the same thing. It's just legalized free downloads now, right? Or it's free streaming, whatever you want to call it. And then it's hard to argue that people shouldn't download the free version they find on Google. It's wrong, but what are you going to do? Educate the whole world about digital downloads? It's on Google. How can it be illegal? That's like a justification. Now, I try to educate. I try to be like, hey, listen, you're taking the money. The artist is never going to see money, because now here are file sharing sites that charge like $20 a month, but you can download anything you can find on Beatport or TrackSource, right? They're getting $20. Now, the person who signs up for that site, who is spending the $20, may even think that money is being given to the artist whose music they're downloading, right? Like Spotify or whatever. They don't know that there's pirates getting the money, right? Just taking it and giving the music away for free. It's still not right. However, the fight, it's like a Don Quixote windmill situation. It's just there's just nothing you can't, right? So I started embracing it, and I just put the music, most of it available on the deepershades.bandcamp.com page for free, or free and anything above. So I gave the chance, and this was a few years ago already. I started giving the chance for people to decide how much they want to pay. For the most recent releases, I decided to try out and actually start charging still lower prices than the other stores, but actually putting up a number. But most Deeper Shades releases on the Bandcamp page you can download for a minimum of 0, right? Which is free. Or you can pay $1 or 2 or 3. And I like these kind of models where you allow people to download it for free simply because they don't have the money, right? Or they want to try out the song. And ideally, these people then appreciate the art and come around and try to support the artist whose art they appreciate, because they need to realize if that person cannot pay their bills, they cannot continue, and what they appreciate will go away. And that sadly has happened, mostly due to piracy and just nothing being in place back then. But now we all know how many streams you need to have and to make any money on these streaming platforms. Like when I look at the monthly thing that I get for the label, I'm like laughing at it. It costs me more to keep the label running than what I'm making, with streams. It's an absolute joke. But we need to just shift and realize that the music is just something to connect with the fans, and then motivate the fans to support the artists in another way, whether just donation or merch, which is a great thing because you actually have something else, something tangible, because we're talking about digital music, right? We're not talking about CDs are free. We're not talking about vinyl is free. That you still need to make money, need to spend money on. And people enjoy buying those things because if you're a fan of somebody, you want to have something, not just something that's a click away. But like when I look around right now in my room and I see all these vinyl records on my shelves, I can go in there and I know I can look at the artist, I can see, I can feel. Again, that brings back the connection. So now, if you like what I do with Deeper Shades of House, you can download everything for free. You can buy merch, right? You can tell your friends, you can show your friends. Don't let your friends listen to bad music. That's my tagline. You can wear that on a shirt. You can put your DSOH. You can buy that on. So that's kind of how I'm trying to funnel the people, right? You want to get them, like, if they appreciate what you do, try to turn them into a fan who wants to see you continue. And while many people say, "Oh, I'm giving you your flowers now, and I love what you do," and I enjoy all of that, and that's great, and but in the end, if I'm your top fan, I'm like, okay, but I can see in my store who are some of my top fans in the way of, not only moral support, but also kind of trying to assure that I can maintain what I'm doing. And I think and keep in mind what I'm talking about is not a level of Jay-Z, Beyonce, that kind of Drake streaming situation. I'm talking about people that are accessible, and those are the people who need to survive. People who are on that large level, on that large scale, like I just mentioned, they don't need to make money with the music. They don't write their own music anyway, right? Most of them don't write their own music, so they're not making money with the copyright of that. They make a little bit with the mechanical. Oh, you just sold this. Oh, we're just selling this. Oh, you get some streaming money here and there. But the majority of the money is coming from partnerships and sponsorships and like corporations, and let's do this together, let's do that together. That's where the money is coming from. Look at Ye. Ye ain't no billionaire no more, right? Because Adidas just dropped him. So it's not that he made the money with the music. It's not like when we look at the top 10 DJs, what did they make their money with? They made like so much money. The majority is not from making music, maybe for performance fees. But again, if they're all the way up there, they produced maybe other people, or they have like major partnerships. They have like a clothing line or all that stuff. So we just need to figure out how. And this is what I've been, my kind of thinking has always been: we need to sell the music without selling the music. I'm still not entirely sure what that means, but when we get there, that is going to be the solution, right? And I go back to this was a long time ago. This was fresh and euphonic. Was that Vodafone? They did a compilation, right? That was available, like you got it when you bought a phone. I'm just waiting for an answer.
I don't remember the compilation. Martino,
No.
do you remember the compilation?
Was it an album? Was it an album called The Few, the red cover, if I'm mistaken?
Something, yeah. And you would buy the phone, and it was you would automatically get it, right? So that is what I'm talking about. That is what I'm talking about. We need to figure out. People like the music; they want the music. We're past the point where people want to spend money for the music, unless it's a vinyl, right? Unless, again, it's tangible. Unless it's something you can hold. So it's hard to sell digital music. Yeah, you can do a little bonus. You can do like a PDF. You can like a photo booklet, or that makes maybe people want to buy it, but they don't need to. Even on Bandcamp, people spend money because they want to support. They could just go to Google and type in probably the same thing and download it there for free. But they make that conscious choice to help that creator of what they enjoy to continue. And, that's why the creators need to take the music also a little serious and don't just bang out something that sounds just like the one he just puts out or they just put out before, because that makes them replaceable. If you just like, okay, here's another track, and they're all the same, it doesn't matter if you disappear or not. It's just like a little quieter. But if you make something that people really appreciate, that's how you kind of turn them into fans. And if you're done, if you wouldn't make the music anymore, you leave a void. It's like the Broken Beat fans may remember Domu. People like that, they gave up because of file sharing. They're like, I'm not going to do this. I'm putting all my heart into this, and I can't pay my bills. But my music is like, everybody sends me emails how much they love it, and I know they didn't even buy it. So people gave up. And I think that's what people, consumers who appreciate the music. I'm not talking about mass market. Why would they understand? And funny enough, the mass market spends every dime on the big artists. How crazy is that? Somebody's dropping some crazy $800 sweatshirt or whatever, and they're like, I need it. And it's a guy who already has, like, I don't know how many hundreds of millions or millions of dollars. And then there's their friend or neighbor or somebody in their neighborhood who all of a sudden is kind of getting something, like, starting maybe selling their own merch line, and they're an upcoming artist, and they're like, hey, can I have a discount on a $20 shirt? That kind of stuff. You gotta realize that you need to support the artist if you like what they do. Sell the music without selling the music for the creator, and as a buyer, support the artist, otherwise they go away.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, it's quite a massive topic, as you said. We could take forever talking about it. Just to share, with what's perhaps happening with us down here, especially with young upcoming producers, there's this thing called direct purchase. So where you literally just buy the music directly from them, because they're not really making any money from releasing it on digital platforms. So they just give it to. I mean, you buy it from them directly on WhatsApp, and that's them able to live from their music. Yeah, it's a hard one. It's a hard one, and as you said, it's about us fans. It's about us, the supporters, actually standing up and actually doing something about it. It's a very hard one. It's a very hard one. But yeah, shout out to Lars. Shout out to Lars for coming through to everything house music. Let me share back the mic to the vivid love of music, Martino. Martino, unmute up.
Hey, yep. You know, you touched the question that he answered. I just love the fact that where he spoke about vinyls. Speaking of vinyls, um, Lars, I love the, Volume One and Volume Two of Deeper Shades. Deeper Shades EP, Volume 1 and Volume 2. One of my favorite tracks, Code and Time. Those are one of my favorite tracks. I wish you did release it on vinyl, but anyway, it's actually dope for me seeing you releasing music a lot, especially and for other artists giving them platform on Deeper Shades record. The importance of vinyl. Do you still find it relevant? I mean, you released a lot of records, digital, but why is it some? But why is it some important? I mean, why is it
Well,
important?
yeah.
Yeah.
So, again, number one, so
Mhm.
it's fun to play, right?
Yeah.
It's the physical thing. It really, and it's the connection at that point, right? It's, of course, for us, when we remember vinyl from when it was big, there's a nostalgic connection to
Mm-hmm.
the way it makes you feel or the way it made you feel, and it connects to you how long it took to save money and get that record, and just you wanted it, but you couldn't maybe get it, so it took a while to get it, or it was right there, you didn't have the money, and so there are these things that you connect with that feeling. Number one. Number two, it sounds great. I'm not going to get into the vinyl versus digital sound comparison, because I'm not that kind of guy. I like what I like. I don't like what I don't like. One or the other. I play them both, right? But for an artist fan connection, I think vinyl is very important for the same reason I had just mentioned, that you're able to give something tangible, something physical to the fan who has a connection to you while listening. They can look, let's say it's an album, or it's like actually a vinyl with the design. They can look at the design, they can look at the back, they can read the liner notes. You can connect putting the record on this. Whenever you need to do a little more to get to where you want to get, it just makes the connection deeper. Does that make sense? Like I can skip through 50 tracks and don't even remember, but if I need to skip through 50 vinyl records, I need to put it on, put the needle on, listen to it, take the needle off, take the record off, put it away, put the next. So you create a connection with this record, and if you then like the music, obviously you associate it with the artist as well. So I think in that degree, it's a great tool. And it's also a great tool to justify charging, because, and this is not a matter of is music worth anything? That's a very fundamental question, but that is not a question that you can ask most people who have bills to pay, right? Because they're like, well, the music is there for free and I want to hear the music. So should I not listen to it digitally and deprive myself because I can't afford to buy the vinyl? No, that's dumb, right? so they can still listen to it. But it's a deeper connection if you're able to sell vinyl for sure.
Yeah. Also, but I wanted to know, like, how, as a label owner, like, how do you decide, like, what informs your decision? I will say releases either on digital or vinyl. Like, it's either this track or the other. Like, how do you decide on that?
How poor do you want to be at the end?
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. if
Ooh.
you don't want to make any money, you do digital. If you want to make less money than you had before, you do vinyl.
Ooh.
It just costs a lot more money. But
The thing
it's
that,
kind of like it's the rough truth. Vinyl, if you're lucky, you break even. Making money with vinyl doesn't really happen. You know?
yeah,
With digital, you don't have overhead. Like you don't have any costs ahead of time besides mixing down the song, mastering the song, maybe paying somebody for artwork if you don't do those things. And that's your only overhead, so whatever comes in is for you. With vinyl, you first need to produce that record. And then you need to make sure you find the people who can afford it. And then you need to make sure you find the people who can afford it and like it. And then you need to make sure you get it to these people. So there are so many cost factors in a vinyl situation that are hard to predict. So, and I'm not even talking about time. Right now, with the pressing plants being super busy because the major artists and the major labels, they are finding they're finding this nostalgia trip, and everybody is like, the hip kids, they have turntables and they need their Blink 182 album on vinyl and they need the Rolling Stones anniversary box. So they are buying up the space and the time at the pressing plant. So now it takes like 8 to 9 months before the record you want to press is actually available. So those are all situations, you know. But there are many people who make these situations also based on kind of like I only do vinyl, and that's cool too, you know. But for me, it's more of a headache. What's the lesser headache? And it's definitely digital. That's my main decision making.
okay. It's just that asking you this question, I always see Renee Jasmine from Deep Inspiration. I mean, he literally goes all the way vinyl, and they get to be sold out, especially like in this country.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
great. I love it. I mean, I love his music. I have all of the Deep Inspiration Show records on vinyl as well.
yeah,
And I like that stuff. Again, I love vinyl. I'm all for it, you know. But you can ask him. He's not paying his bills with selling vinyl records. You know, it's really like you want to make sure you break even. If you make a couple of bucks, it's fine. And if you're trying to pay artists, that's a whole other game on top of that, you know. So the numbers to make money with vinyl are nowhere near we could be with the music that we enjoy, I believe.
yeah,
It's more like, Inner Visions, like Dixon, like where it's more like it kind of crosses over in the techno thing, and there's a much bigger vinyl scene even in techno than in certain parts of house. That can make money, and again, even they are going beyond the music and they're connecting art to it and the way it's presented. They're doing more than just pressing vinyl, a vinyl record. Because back in the day, we didn't care. We just wanted the record. We didn't need the artwork. That was a nice bonus, but it was cool if it was a white sleeve or a black sleeve, and it's important you had the record. But
yeah,
now, even with vinyl, you go beyond. You go back to that album feeling. You look at it. There's something visual appealing and all that. But that's what you need to do to sell those records. But yeah, to make money with it, you need to sell a lot of them.
yeah. I gotta get him on the show. What do you think,
Sure.
Volksman?
Of course, why not?
I
Why
gotta
not?
get
If you can
him.
do it,
You
brother,
know what?
let's.
Let me jump into his inbox because we talk a lot, me and the guy.
Do it. I'm gonna share. I think perhaps my penultimate question. So we'll give it perhaps another 20 minutes or so with our guest tonight. And then we can let him go so he can carry on with his packing so he can come to
Yes.
SA. So he can come to SA.
That's right.
So, Lars, 20 years of Deeper Shades of House. I mean, you've been in the game for dozens of, millenniums of years. Where do you see, I think, first of all, where do you see Deeper Shades of House in the next, let's say, 10 years or so? What's the plan? What's the vision? Secondly, where do you see dance music in the next 10 years or so? And I say dance, maybe we can actually just give it a and we go to house music, which is what we're here for. Because dance is so much things. I mean, Drake is doing dance. So, yeah. Where do you see house music in the next 10 years or so? And we have, I mean, in SA right now, last week Friday, we had Buddy Nice. He released 50 songs. I tell you.
Yeah, I
Released.
saw that album. You sent me the
So
promo.
from your side, I also want to know in terms of what's your take on the amount of music that we are consuming as people. I think it's just too much. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, those are my 3 questions. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So let me start with Buddy Nice. And this is preceded by, other people that I believe he may have been connected to in the past who released music with even larger amounts of tracks. And I don't listen to it, sadly. That's the sad thing, right? When I get promos, and this may be very particular to me, but I also believe that a bunch of consumers may feel similar. It's too much. It's like going to a restaurant and there are an hour to order one meal, right? Because unless you walk in and you know what you want, but if you never Are you still there? Sorry, I just got a call. But you're still there. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we lost you for a
Yeah,
second, but we got you.
Okay, so sorry, I lost my train of thought. Tell me real quick where I was.
Yeah, you were on the.
Oh,
Just
it's
too
too
much
much.
music.
It's just too much. It's just too much. Give me 1 second. Let me answer real quick.
No problem.
Yeah,
No problem. Go
it's
ahead.
Christos calling me.
Oh.
Because we're getting everything.
We've shared an invite to the legend. We're still waiting for his appearance on Everything House Music.
So
but hopefully one
it's
of
too
these
much.
days.
It's too overwhelming. I didn't even listen to the promo, sadly, right? Because I get a lot of promos, and if I now have to see I'm getting 50 tracks from one artist, I'm not going to play a set with 20 of his tracks in it, right? So I kind of have to narrow down which ones do I like best as a DJ. But for that, I have to listen to all of them. How long is that going to take me? So sadly, and this started years ago. This didn't start with this. When I get compilations with more than like 15 tracks, or I get like remix releases with more than 6 remixes, I don't even listen to any. I just skip that release. It gives me anxiety looking at it. Like, it gives me anxiety looking at it, knowing I have to go through this and I have to make a fair evaluation and pick something. And that's just me. That's the DJ side of me. But that's why I just ignore the whole thing. And I cannot be the only one, and also from a consumer side of things, unless it's just a background situation. And I think for that, it could be a mixtape, or it could be, it can't be singular tracks, which I assume those are. I don't know. But that's just an example. That's like with any of these compilations. I understand what these people are doing. Again, not only Buddy Nice, but record labels in general, right? It's like a roundabout. I'm gonna throw it out all out there. Something's gonna stick, and it may all stick. It may all be great. It may all be amazing music, but I will for now not find out until somebody plays it. I'll ask what it is, and I'll go back into my promo folder. But that's too much. So, Deeper Shades of House. Where's it going? Nowhere for now. So I'm gonna keep this thing going. I am spreading the word more and more. I'm telling people, share. If you can't buy anything, if you can't support financially, that's okay. I understand. Right now, times are crazy and hard, and I don't, I don't want to guilt people into becoming a supporter. I don't want to force people to sign up and pay in order to download my radio show. That's why I do all this for free. That's why I pay for all those bills. But I'm asking people to share so we can grow. There's a lot of room for growth, and that is kind of, I don't want to have to spend money on advertising. I want this to be organic. I want it to be natural. I like it when people just tell those friends who like similar music, hey, check out this guy. And that's how we grow together as a Deeper Shades family. And I like that feeling, because that's a good feeling also when I go to parties. I play parties like I did just now in Seattle this past weekend, or a couple of weeks ago or months ago in Detroit, and I meet Deeper Shades fans, and they meet other Deeper Shades fans from somewhere completely else, or they live in the same city and they never knew, and all of a sudden they become friends, right? They're like wearing a Deeper Shades shirt. It's like, oh my God, you're a fan? Yeah, I've been a fan for 5 years. Oh, me 10, isn't that? So I'm all about those kind of connections and growing Deeper Shades. And obviously I try to be able to cover the bills a little better. That would be helpful. So I can justify spending so much time, because this is a main thing. This is not just like the 2 hours you hear every week. There's a lot more involved in this. I do the entire website. I do all the streaming. It's literally a one-man machine. I get the releases mastered elsewhere, and I get some of the artwork outsourced. Even some of that I do myself, or Kathy, my wife, does it. But it's all me. And so I'm trying to be able to continue, because the bills that I have to pay are not getting cheaper. And for that, if we all grow, we will reach those people who are financially independent enough and be able to support and keep this program going. And I'll be able to push the music that we like and keep that alive, because we all know that certain outlets just disappear or minimize or have to fold because they're commercially motivated. They're being told, okay, if you want to stay here, or we need this, or you got to play that, people want to hear this music. That's not me. Lars is Deeper Shades of House. Deeper Shades of House is Lars. That's not going to change. And I'm always going to keep playing what I like, and by connection what the listeners like, and we can grow. Where is house music going to go? There, everything goes like in cycles, I'm thinking. And there's always like something is popping up here, something is popping up there. And you guys know that in South Africa, it's like every few years there's like another instrument that becomes popular or that becomes prominent. And usually, in other parts of the world, there's a certain style, a certain vibe. And so what happens is other people seeing that and then kind of jumping on that and then kind of copying that, and that kind of drizzles out and gets like washed down, I want to say. So I think there's a good chance that soulful is going to pick up really heavily again, because that's what I'm seeing, that the harder festival DJs, not like in South Africa, like for European festivals, they go not the techno guys, the houseier guys. They go from the trippier tech housey festival sets. They sprinkle a lot more vocals and soulful stuff in, which makes me happy, because I like the soulful deep house. I'm not big on the full-on screaming divas. I had a minute there in the 90s maybe, but now I like the deep, soulful, tracks or vocal stuff. So I think there's something coming back there. But always people will put in their own ingredients. There are different sounds that create almost like little pockets of a genre, right? The entire State True Sounds catalog, you were talking about FKA earlier. It's a very well curated sound by Kid Funk that he's doing there, right? Which is almost comparable to a style of music because you associate a certain style with that label. And I think people will join those styles, but then there will also be others creating their own. This is all kind of like based on. I see Jazwell definitely as one of the guys who kind of preceded this sound a little bit, and then a big influence for this sound I'm thinking would be Atjazz, of course, but people will always take something that they like and make it their own, and some of it will grow, and some will just be part of what's already going on. Where it's going in general, I don't know. We just can hope that people who like certain styles of music will be able to stay with it, even though they're not going to make the amount of money that other people will make who decide to stray away from that.
Thank you so much for that. I look forward. I look forward to. I mean, we all look forward to house music flourishing in 2 years on. We always. I mean, when I say we and say I'm saying people on social media, we always argue and say different things regarding perhaps house music or deep house. Then when you say something that really hits the spot, people say it's politics when it's not. But I look forward to flourishing. I mean, we have so much amazing young upcoming producers in SA right now, Lars. Like, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. We have this thing called the Deep House Space every single Friday, where we invite guests who release music perhaps on the day or that have released music, and we let them share with us perhaps the journeys regarding that release. And each and every single Friday, we have at least more than 2 artists. So imagine from Feb this year, every single Friday, we've been having at least 3 to 2 producers releasing music, which is already overwhelming on its own. I mean, not forgetting that there's compilations, there's albums. Yeah, so there's a lot of music from our side. There's a lot of absolutely amazing music also that's coming from young upcoming producers. It's just that it's too much for me. It's just too much.
Tell me.
There's not enough of us. There's not enough of us to consume the music. But that's me. That's me. I tweet sometimes and people just they block me. That happens a lot. So I'll share the mic with Vanco Africa. Let's hear what Vanco Africa's got to say, and then shout out, man. Thanks for joining Everything House Music.
Hey, hi, Voxman. Today I'm late, but yeah, thanks for letting me in. Hi, Lars. How are you?
Good.
I'm great. I'm glad. I'm actually playing alongside Lars on Sunday in Venda at the private location.
Oh, nice.
So I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, tour for one of my favorites, himself and Rocco. And I just wanted to touch on that when you were speaking about vinyl, right? I'm literally the same. And I watch a lot of his shows on YouTube, actually, when he's streaming live and sometimes Twitch. But the connection thing is true, right? And I'm going to say this not because it's Lars. That record, Minority in Terms of Thought, I think you would know that it's big in SA. And each time I put it on, I've got a friend of mine, sometimes we come and practice. If we actually measure how successfully we mixed that track in, because anyone who has that vinyl, they know that the first minute of that song, it doesn't matter what turntable you've got, you will always be nudging your platter up and down because I don't know if it was masterfully designed like that, but that connection, like, if you mix this one, you can DJ. So,
I think those were the MIDI glitches I was talking about earlier. A little like where the MIDI was a little slow, so some of the snares are definitely very fluid there. Yeah.
Yeah. And one thing I needed to ask you, Lars, is and obviously we sing our own lyrics to that song, but is there a part where those guys are saying Bojo Mujo and there's the part where they get to say Erika Badu?
That's what it sounds like. That is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
No, I know. He was asking me, Voxman was asking earlier, it's like, what does it say? I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even remember what record I sampled this from. This was from a vinyl record. And I mentioned earlier, I think it was like Northwest African, like Afrobeat records from the 60s or 70s or 80s or so. But I do not remember. So I don't know. But I'm actually surprised. I mean, we got to figure this out. Maybe I got to put out a sample out there and kind of like a call. It's like, somebody tell me what this means. Or maybe we don't want to find out. I don't know.
Yeah. No, anyway, thanks, Lars. See you on Sunday.
See you Sunday, my brother.
Thanks. Yeah.
On that note, on your Twitter header, you have there in posted your lineup regarding the places that you're going to be at down here, Lars.
Yes.
I mean, could you perhaps share further with us? I mean, what are you looking forward to? Are there any special sets perhaps that you planned regarding this tour? Is there anything else besides you actually playing? Are you perhaps going to be doing some radio interviews? I mean, we've done your first one. We've done an amazing job.
Right.
So, is there anything else perhaps that where people can find you besides these gigs?
So the gigs I have on here, there might be. I mean, everything on there is solid. That's it. But there might be some additions. So I'm going to update that. You can find that on my socials, either on the twitter.com/LarsLB or facebook.com/Lars. What is it? Lars Behrenroth, or just on deepershades.net. So I will update if there's any more gig situation coming. I'm going to be on Nikki B's show on Kaya. I want to say on the 30th, but that's not going to be in person because we're going to be in a car driving to Venda. But there might be another show that I'm going to be on. I don't know. But I think just follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/LarsLB. And I always tweet out where I'm going to be. That's the easiest way, especially since we're on Twitter Spaces. I don't know. I was thinking maybe, I'm going to be with Rocco. We're playing most of these gigs together. So I'm going to chill with him. And maybe we're just going to show up somewhere and I'm going to tweet where we are so everybody can come out and say hi. But other than that, twitter.com/LarsLB for the gigs. For special sets, anything planned? No, I don't plan to get naked or anything, or I don't have any special show planned. I always play on the fly, so they're all going to be special in their own way, right? There's nothing prepared. There's no like certain flow of songs, or I'm going to sit here. I have like a playlist of a couple of 100 tracks that are named South Africa, and that even might still change. And I just pick from there, and then we go.
Lovely. If there's anyone else in this space, perhaps would like to give some flowers, share some thoughts to Lars, this is your opportunity. This is the time when we do last remarks on everything house music. When we have perhaps anyone who'd like to further just for the last time, come and grab the mic and actually say something. This is opportunity. So I'll start with Martino. Martino, please give us last remarks regarding today's space, and then we will let Lars carry on with his packing. Probably we can come to Cape Town. I'm going to reach out to a friend, Lars. I'm going to reach out to a friend to try and maybe get you down here. I don't know how, but I'm going to reach out to someone. Just somehow get you here, man, in this week or so. But Martino, please give us your last remarks. Thank you.
Yeah, I wish I could impersonate him right because I don't know how to do it.
That seems to be a thing.
Yeah, I always impersonate. I mean, even if you're not around in the space, I'll be like, no new show this week, no new show after this week. Please don't drink and drive, and whatever you do, don't let your friends listen to bad music. I'm out. Peace. And that's how I always roll. But yeah, but all in all, I just want to say thank you for coming through. Thank you for everything. Thank you for the knowledge, and we're still gonna learn more. If you are really gonna come through, and really gonna the 29th, I was actually gonna be showing up. Unfortunately, something actually happened in the family, but yeah, that's my loss for that. For me, no gigs this week. Lars, thank you. First time listening to Deeper Shades of House was in 2009. A guy named Tepo, who happens to be a hip hop artist right now. He's the one who introduced me to Deeper Shades of House. Show 250, I don't remember, 250, something like that. And the first track that was playing there, it was you who playing, I think, Pride. You played Pride. You played Pride. That's the only track which I remember. And then there was a guest mix, and then you told him to carry on. You were talking in the background. But yeah, anyway, I wish I could go on and on and on and on and on about the day when I started listening to the show. But yeah. But anyway, yeah, and to everyone who's listening, please, like he always say on when the show ends, if you love the artists, if you really love the music, please buy music like I always do. Buy music, show some appreciation. Buy quality. Don't go and download 129 or 192, whatever it is. Buy quality. Get Wave, get 320. Then you'll be good. And don't let your friends listen to bad music. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my man.
No, shout out to Martino. Shout out to Martino. I wonder what his partner thinks, having my name on his bio. Yes, I wonder what he thinks about that. But anyway, shout out to Martino.
Leave my partner out of it, please. Get out of it. She's not even home.
Shout out, brother. Thanks for coming through and joining us. Let's give the mic to Vanko. Vanko Africa is here. Vanko, please, man, give us your last remark regarding today's space and regarding our guest, Lars, who we're going to be playing alongside with, as you mentioned. Please share your last remarks, brother. Thank you.
Sure, Vox. Yeah, man, a nice space as usual. I mean, it's always great when you have guests of any types, and it's so nice. And I mean, to Lars, I think Martinos, like you were saying, I had deeper shades from my friend as well. I had this varsity mate. That was 2006. Cabello, he loved deeper shades, and that's how we got introduced into deeper shades of house. And I mean, yeah, to Lars, I mean, is great. He's got an ear. Each time you listen to his mixes, especially when I'm watching him live there on YouTube and Twitch, you can tell that he's an experienced DJ, but he's also a natural. The way he sequences his tracks. And yeah, that also helps a lot of us to improve in our listening skill as well, in terms of you just don't pick a track and cue it with the next. So yeah, to Lars, I mean, keep doing what you're doing. We're glad that Deeper Shades, you have no plans of canning it anytime. So yeah, great. Thanks, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Shout out, Vanko. And enjoy the gig, Vanko Fit. Please,
Thanks,
no Devon July. I mean, you're playing alongside Gates.
I have to make sure, make sure,
Yeah, man, we in spring, so please, no Devon July. Shout out, brother.
I got you, bro.
I see here this wonderful human being, Unogwanda Shabangu, who I do Jazz Sunday requests with, is actually here. And she grabbed the mic. Sis Nogwanda Sawubona, welcome to Everything House Music.
Good morning, Vox. Oh, Uzangithi good morning. Oh, I'm so used to it. Good evening.
Yeah.
Talk about
Good evening.
being hooked on an energy. Good evening. Guest of honor, Lars Behrenroth. That's how you say it, right?
Behrenroth, yeah. Just looks
What
complicated. It's not that bad.
do you have? Do you have like an AKA that you go
Just
by sometimes?
nah. It's like when I was younger, we were like, there was another guy here in the US. Funny enough, he was on MTV The Real World, like one of the early ones, like the early
I
Real.
don't think.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Nah, carry on. I
Oh, okay.
think he just.
Sorry
Yeah,
for
it's
that.
cool. It's cool.
Sorry
No
for
worries.
that
No
loss.
worries. And so I had to kind of like separate myself, and I called myself Lars LB for a minute, just to have my initials. Because I was like, oh my God, imagine you give yourself a DJ name and then you're like 50 years old. It gets weird, So no, it's just Lars.
Okay, yeah, your full name. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I am so privileged to have the honor to speak to you on this incredible space. I was very late, but I'm looking forward to listening to the recording. I know that if you are, out in a space with Voxman, it's definitely something I want to listen to as an up and coming vocalist, and I'm somebody who gets inspired by, I guess, the instrumentals, and your understanding of music is so deep. You've basically been in music longer than I've been alive.
Well, thank you.
Because you've been a DJ since 1986, a radio host since 1996, a remixer and a producer since 97, and a label owner since 2008. So, I'm born in 93. So I'm right in between, I guess, where you were picking up, and some of the sound, some of the music that I've seen and that I have the ability to indulge in. I'm very bad with like lyrics and remembering names, if you will. So I research a lot. But when I listen to your music and I watch some of the stuff that you do, and it hasn't been that much, I just want to say thank you. And thank you for allowing Voxman to give you the microphone. And I love the gigs that you're playing, dude. Like, you're so cool. You're so with the people.
Thank you.
Like, you're not like doing like these festivals where we have to pay thousands to come and see you. Like, you're in queue and you're in Oliven. Like,
Yeah.
dog, I'm
I mean,
gonna
I
shake
would
some
do
ass.
I would do those too. I'm not mad at those either, but I like I like the gigs when I get to interact and when it's a little more personal and stuff. But no, yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. No, I'm definitely gonna come to one of these gigs. I won't tell you which one. So I'm looking forward to it. So thank you for coming, for putting yourself out there always since the beginning of time. Keep doing that. Keep inspiring us. Keep being beautiful. Like you doing you the best way you know how to, and it's so beautiful to witness that and to be part of that time with you. So thank you. Ngiyabonga.
Thank you.
Have a beautiful trip, and I'll see you soon.
All right, see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Nogwanda. Beautiful, amazing person. We do something, it's called Jazz Sunday Request, Lars. We do it on Sundays, Sunday mornings. I think when it's 8 a.m., it's probably like 2 a.m. your side. Yeah, somewhere there. And we just play jazz.
That's very nice.
Please, one of these days, if perhaps you are awake at that
I know,
time,
right?
you're more than just welcome to join us. We do it every single Sunday from 8 a.m. and we just play jazz and we just talk jazz. And she's the co-host. She's my co-captain on that. We do this amazing thing. Shout out to Nawanda. Thank you so much. Okay, I thought I saw someone else here grab the mic, but the person's not here. I'll give Lloyd in charge. Is your mic good for some
Yeah, I
last
think I'm good
remarks?
now. It's Linda. Linda, are you there?
No, Linda is not here anymore.
Yo, Ashem load shedding. You know what? We were supposed to play a song, by the way, before load shedding, but you guys talk too much. But yeah, I guess we're not playing anything before we close the space, but it's okay.
That's
It's
okay. They
okay.
can go to
Uh,
Look,
deepersheets.net. There's
I was gonna
music all
say,
day
like, you
long.
for sure, for sure. I wasn't hearing you, Blas, when Nokwanda was speaking with you. I thought the problem was you. I was like, ah. Then I remember I'm within load shedding. Hopefully, when you come, you won't experience it.
I
It's
know.
not
I
nice.
know.
It's not nice. Just imagining you there busy DJing and then boom, darkness during your set. And
I've been there. I've been there. I played a gig in SA, and this was pre-load shedding. This was just like a power outage. Where was I? I forgot, but it was for 2 hours. No, I actually played two gigs where the power went out. One gig we actually had to leave because it would never come back on, and another one, the power just went out, but somebody had like bongos or congas or whatever, and all of a sudden there was like a drum circle. And then an hour later, the power came back on. But yeah, that's nothing like this. But from what I've heard, every gig that I'm playing, there are generators on standby, so no problem.
yeah, we are used to it, so that we've made arrangements with other things.
Right.
Like now I have UPS. If I had never made to purchase that UPS, I think I would have left the space by now. So I'm still connected to the Wi-Fi, which is good.
Good.
Um, but apparently it's not that powerful because I lost the signal somewhere there. But yeah. So my closing remarks, that we truly appreciate your time. Do you know how much you get blue tick glass when you invite producers to the space?
Do I do what? Excuse me?
Do you know, do you know how much you get blue ticked?
Blue ticked. Oh, you mean like
Yes, like they
how you
leave
get
us on
verified?
scene.
I don't.
No, not that one. Like you leave us on scene. You don't reply to me. You see the message, you click on the message, but you don't reply.
Yeah, imagine all the.
No, no,
Imagine.
he's talking about invites, Lars. He's talking about we keep on
Yes,
inviting
invite,
so
invite.
many people to the
Oh,
space.
okay. See, you gotta
Yeah, but
speak you gotta speak that old language with me. You gotta. Look,
okay.
you can't look. Let me just one thing about that is you can't take that personal, right? Because it's not just your message, right? It's like imagine, like you say, imagine how many times we get blue ticked. Now imagine how many messages they're getting that they're blue ticking on, or that maybe they have to because they can't get to every one of them. Right? That's just like a perspective to look at it. I saw, like, I checked out here a couple of weeks ago. I liked what I heard with what's her name? Help me out.
Sabrina, we were
Exactly.
with Sabrina.
Exactly. Sabrina was in there. I liked what I
Sabrina
heard.
Child. Yeah.
I saw you guys had my boy Slaughter on, which I couldn't tune in because you guys decided to do it when it's 4 a.m. over here. So I couldn't listen to that one. But yeah, no, this is totally chill. I like it. It's. So I don't mind doing this. But trust me, there's plenty of messages that I get that I ignore.
We are truly glad that we were not part of those getting ignored.
Yeah,
Cause
I'm still here.
yeah,
Yet
nah,
I'm still
but we don't give up. We don't give up. We'll definitely blast your DMs,
Well,
Shem.
that's
We don't
that's
give
what you're
up.
supposed to do. And it's not about losing your cool. It's not about expecting, right? Because nobody owes you anything. That's the whole thing. And I've learned over the years, it's like if stuff is supposed to happen, not like in a weird kind of like whatever way, but if things are supposed to work out, they're going to work out somehow. You can't force it. You can be persistent. You can stick with it. You can make sure the other person knows you're interested. But you can't be like, oh, you're not answering, or why are you doing this, or oh, you talk to that person, which I understand. I'm not talking about you guys. I'm just saying like general experiences. We tend to take things personal because we're so hyper focused on that one connection that we try to make with somebody, while it's just one of hundreds or thousands that people are trying to make with that somebody. You know, so it's not. This is a general thing. Sometimes we need to remove ourselves from our own brain and just kind of, put yourself in the other position or try to imagine. All right, enough with the
We we
Yeah.
finger up.
we need house heads to remove themselves from their
Yeah.
brains.
Start with you, Vox. So you know what we do last? We use the same process of the same way you use with guest mixes.
Mm,
Somebody referring them to you because they've been on your show before.
mhm.
So we use producers. Like if you're here and you know someone, you've collaborated with someone before, we're like, last man, can you reach out to so and so to come to the space? That's how we actually get them
Mm,
right
mm,
now. Those who ignore us.
yeah.
So we reach out to those who know them, who have had a song with, like you have someone's number, so and so's number. Can you know? Reach out to him to come to the space, and then they eventually come through. They come
They
through.
have to, and this is what I was talking about earlier too, right? They have to realize that you're not just doing the let us hit up 100 people and somebody's going to answer. They have to realize that you have a genuine interest. You're not just putting the name out there because you want to fill your time slot. You're putting the name out there because you actually are interested in that person. But it's hard to be on the other end until, like you say, you get that reference from somebody who's been there. So that's the best way to go about these things, because we don't have the time to vet everything and to make sure there's a genuine interest. Because I've had interviews in the past where people just really don't care, and it's the same questions, and they just need to get the three questions, and it's like, so how do you like it? How many times you come? That kind of shit. And you don't know that before, but if you do, then you're more likely to go on. That's at least in my case.
Lloyd, oh good. Okay, Lloyd, he just got load. He gave load shedding to us now.
Wow.
But
Volksman, can I ask you something?
say that again, Martin.
Ask him something. Speaking about what he just asked him about getting other artists on the space.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, Lars.
Mm.
Yeah. Since I just broke the secret, how can we get Atjazz? I mean, we know that he's a super busy man, just like everyone else, like you guys. But how do we get Atjazz on the space? And there's another name which I really want to inbox you. Yeah.
What?
How do we get these guys?
Wait, did
Can
you
you
just
really
inbox
help
me?
us get
Now
these?
I gotta look at my phone. Give me a second.
Not yet, not yet.
Oh,
I
okay.
just spoke to Jasmine. Jasmine, I'm still waiting for his reply.
Gotcha.
So I just need Martin Iverson at Jazz,
Well, let me give you
and
one
another
answer.
name which
Let me give you one answer.
no, no.
There's a person who's been doing a radio show for 20 years who knows him personally and who hung out with
Yeah,
him several times who still hasn't had a guest mix.
okay.
Can
Cool.
you deduce the answer?
Wow. So he hasn't get so he hasn't appeared on the show.
I have
Wow.
not had an Atjazz guest mix. I have asked my man I don't know how many times. And I understand. And
Kid,
again, this is what I'm saying.
only kid punch.
Everybody has
Only kid punch.
everybody has their own level of busyness and priorities, and I totally understand that. And
Mm.
Martin has kids and is busy and is working probably 18 hours a day, I don't know, 15, 18 hours a day,
Way more than
mastering,
that.
mixing, creating, and that is the main focus. And guest mixes or appearances in general may sound easy to the listener, but it creates a certain level of anxiety in the person who needs to deliver. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I'm not talking for Martin, I'm talking more for myself now. When I get asked for guest mixes and stuff, I want to say yes, but I know that I probably don't have the time to commit. And so I can't make a promise, or I'm afraid I can't keep that promise, or I get then so worried about having made a promise that I need to keep that it distracts me from what I need to concentrate on. This is like the case with me, right? And I can imagine it's the case with many other people because we all have our own thing going on. So the answer, just straight up, is I do not know how you get Martin on your space.
This is gonna be hard. I gotta pray. I gotta go to the ocean. I gotta go to a waterfall. I gotta do something. I gotta do something. He has to answer. I mean, we share the same name. For God's sake. I mean, like, we share the same name, but he has to come. Definitely. I need to get this. But you know what? I'm never gonna give up on him. He has to come.
Yeah, don't. I mean, just keep asking. I might have him on my show soon, so who knows?
Which means when you have him, I mean, like, then you have to he actually has to slide him in here also. But yeah, anyway, I'll keep on trying.
Yeah.
I'll keep on trying.
You remind me of the people who hit me up in DMs asking me for CDJs and mixers.
I remember this story. Didn't you bring it up on Facebook?
I still get him, dude. I get it. I still get him.
Yo.
Hey, Lars, I want to be a DJ, but I don't have any equipment to practice. Can you send me 2 CDJs and a mixer?
And I remember they actually mentioned, like, how do they make a 320 kbp mix? I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what?
I know.
I'm like, that's impossible. I remember when you mentioned it on Facebook, I'm like, wow, really?
Well, that's, again, this is just another reflection of what's happening, right? It's like people are not really interested in learning the craft. They're only interested in getting to a result that gets them to where they think they should be. Does that make sense? Like for them, it's good enough to put a mix for them, whoever they are. They can put a mix together that's good enough to sound good, but they don't even really comprehend how, like what happened, why it is good enough at that moment. So that's just the whole thing. You got to really know what you're doing. Okay, I'm rambling, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, but mine is coming in soon, bro.
All right.
Mine is coming very soon.
All right.
Yeah.
Shout out to Martino. It's Martin SA. Shout out, brother. Lastly, Linda. Linda, is your mic working? Welcome to Everything House Music.
I don't know what's going on. How are you, sir?
What's up?
Hey, I don't know. It's load shading, my man.
Yeah, that's not.
We can hear you,
Linda.
Not good,
we can hear you.
We can hear you. I think it's a pleasure to have this guy in the show, my man. A legend like this. Yo, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do with myself.
Well, just ask a question.
No, I like to compliment a question because we've got a lot of questions, all of us.
Okay.
But what I like to say is that, it's a pleasure with you guys to have the platform like this. It's a very pleasant, and we're honored in South Africa to have a person like this and guys doing things like this, because only few people have a pleasure to talk to you. And I would like to say thank you very much, guys, and thank you to this legend of ours, to have him in South Africa. But I want to say, see you in Soweto at the 5.
See you in Soweto, my man. It's going to be a good one. Thank you.
Yeah, because I can't come to, I won't come to Venda. I'm very far from Venda. I'm in Osunlade.
Yeah, so that's fine. That's why I try to cover, some grounds. Yeah, I know. I don't know if I'm looking forward for the long drive, but I know once I'm there, I'm going to enjoy it very much.
Yeah, I hope even DJ Zidane is listening. We are quite blessed to have you guys, and thank you very much for this platform, guys. That's what I want to say.
Thank you, my man. Be safe.
Thank you, sir.
Nash, shout out to Linda. Shout out to Linda. Thank you, brother. Thanks for coming through and giving us a submission. Lloyd, you got cut off. Are you good?
I'm good. I think Maruta has a problem. Maruta has a problem. It's not literally load shedding. It's Maruta.
Oh, okay. No, shout out, brother. Shout out. From my side, before we actually give my last remarks, shout out to everyone again. Thank you for coming through. Just to share, next week we're having on the 1st of November. Yes, on the 1st of November, we're gonna have Nini Malux. So please come through and join us at 8 p.m. 1st of November with Nini Malux on Everything House Music. And then we're planning a music night with Bokani Daya. Yes, Bokani Daya, the jazz amazing artist, yeah, amazing jazzing artist, Bokani Daya for I think it's the 9th, if I'm not mistaken. And then there's Manu all the way in UK. Please look out for that space they're gonna have with him on Everything House Music. The guy doing amazing things on Instagram and on YouTube, just reviewing house music and Afro tech, techno and everything. So we're gonna be having a chat with him in the next couple of weeks. So please look out for our spaces. Yeah, we always tweet the links beforehand, so check them out. And thanks to you for coming through. If you've missed perhaps some of the spaces that we've had previously, I have them on my YouTube channel, so please go check that out. The last one I've put on is the interview we had with UPZ. Yes, I've put that on my YouTube channel, so please go check that out. That was amazing. That was amazing too. So thank you so much for coming through. Lars, this is your opportunity to give us your last remarks, please. Please go ahead and thank you.
All right, let me get to my lineup real quick. Just want to let you know real quick. I mean, it's online. You can look at it. I don't need to tell you all my gigs. I want to say everything is always at deepershades.net. That's the easiest thing. And my goal is to bang it into everybody's brain. So if you wake somebody up at 3 a.m. and they're all like, what? And you're like, where's the best deep house? They say deepershades.net. So go there. And you can listen to my Deeper Shades radio network at radio.deepershades.net. Usually I go live also with videos every week when I record my mixes. Won't do that for the next 2 weeks because I will be in South Africa. Gigs all over the place. I am very excited. They're going to be fun. I will have merch for sale. So come to the gigs and get some shirts. I have a couple of caps here that I'm bringing.
I'm in. Then
I think Lars just perhaps got a phone call again. Lars, are you still there?
Let me see. Hear me?
Yeah, we just lost you for a bit. I think there's probably I don't know. Is it a mic thing? But it's just some bad.
It's not
just
connecting. I don't know.
Oh, it's probably network. Load shedding. You're probably having
yeah,
it too.
here too, right? Can you still hear me? Am I good now?
Yeah, you're good now. You're good. You can go ahead. Thank you.
I don't know. But yeah, so no, I just wanted to say thank you. I really appreciate it. I got to get on packing, my friends. It's 2 p.m. over here. But thank you so much. I really appreciate all the time, all the questions. I appreciate everybody hanging out, and I'll see you all at the gigs.
No, thank you so much. From my side, it's been an honor. It's been an absolute honor. So we've been doing this for a year and a couple of months now. So and as fans, we just want to thank you so much for your time, and for your play for your play in the house music scene and the dance music scene. I think a lot of people perhaps fell in love with music because maybe they heard a certain song from Lars, or they saw you playing for the first time somewhere. So you're a reason for perhaps why people love music, why people love house music for that, to be specific like that. So thank you so much, Lars. Thank you. I think we look forward to perhaps having again. Definitely has to happen. Perhaps next year, perhaps when you release music, we gotta have you on. Perhaps we can premiere the music here. Definitely. I mean, we are just fans. We are fans of the music. We're easygoing. So we're not stuck up. We don't even come and talk about all these other crazy things that people talk about. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for gracing your presence here. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. A lot of people were starstruck. They can't even still come up and say anything. It happens. It happens, I guess. As you said, it's perhaps not a good idea to meet your heroes. But thank you for coming through and spending some time with us. Should have been 2 hours, but it went on for 3. So thank you so much for coming through to Everything House Music.
Thank you. No problem. I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, shout out for that. And to everyone else, thank you again. This is the end of Everything House Music today. I would have played a song, but I'm not where I'm normally used to be at. I had to move studios. I had to move because of load shedding. I had to make sure that I don't get interrupted because of load shedding. So thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for coming through. We'll see one another on Friday, the Deep House Space. And cheers, everyone. Cheers, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your today. And as always, as Lars says, don't let your friends listen to bad music.
Thank you so much. All right.
Cheers.
Stay safe.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you. This has been good.